Oh yeah, hello everyone. Welcome to the Buggy-sama Fan Club. Yeah, we back. We back. Today is Saturday, October 11th. Yeah. I'm your boy Jay Han here with
Alex
and our special guest hailing all the way from Japan,
John.
Yeah. And we've been hit with some unfortunate news. Naruto, our childhood friend, is gonna be leaving us very soon now.
Peacing out in 5
Yeah.
chapters.
Dude, yeah. And
Big news over here in Japan.
Yeah.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Yeah,
for sure.
are they like rampaging in the streets? Are there riots yet, or
Dude, it was like front headlines, man.
Really? Seriously?
Yeah, it was.
And like newspapers and
television
stuff?
or like on what exactly?
Well, like news sites, definitely newspapers.
Wow.
I guess
Front page news, man.
it was like when in America they announced that the Simpsons were ending, kind of like.
Huh.
Would it be
'cause
kind
it's
of like
been around
that?
for
Like,
so long. No, I feel like that would be like if like one of those old like Crayon Shinchan, you know, I don't know what the English title for it,
I
but
don't know
the
what that is.
perverted little kid. You know what I'm talking about? They did in Korea too.
oh yeah,
It'd be like
yeah.
one of those classic ones. That
Yeah.
would be the Simpsons. Naruto would be
Shoot.
kind of like if.
If Pokemon said they were
yeah.
gonna be,
But
over
Pokemon's
officially.
Japanese. But yeah, kind of like that. Yeah.
Basically, America has nothing. Is that what you're saying?
No, I mean they do, but
They're not gonna have
they're
Power
not as
Rangers anymore.
popularized, actually. Yeah, I guess. Or no. It's like Power Rangers isn't so like story driven. You're not as invested in the characters.
Dude, I was so invested in the character.
But then like they would switch them up every season though,
Yeah,
right? So
it was.
Power Rangers is
like,
also Japanese.
Is it really?
Gee.
It's like
Jesus.
the Genesis is like a Japanese fighting show.
Wow.
So what is
But anyway,
something that's
it was big news. It's understandable, I guess. I don't know if there's an American equivalent.
I didn't know people
I guess
still cared
Breaking
over
Bad
there.
was pretty big, like when they were getting towards the finale.
Dude, don't
right?
even
Like,
But the difference is Breaking Bad was only 3 years, whereas Naruto was many years in the making.
yeah. So
Yeah.
magnify that.
That's why I was trying to go for The Simpsons, because that shit was many years in the making.
Yeah. I think
Yeah,
the
that's true.
Simpsons one is closer. It's like I can't think of a good example. That's kind of weird, actually.
It actually hasn't even hit me yet. I'm not sad enough that Naruto is going to be no longer.
Yeah, dude, it's like it's
That's one less thing that I'm going to
every
read
week.
every
Yeah,
week.
every
I kind of
man.
feel like
Yeah.
re-energized to talk about Naruto.
because
if anything.
because
Oh,
of
It's
because
not
you
like
don't
sad,
know what
it's
you
like,
have until
oh,
it's
right.
gone? Is that what that is?
No, I mean, yeah, obviously, but still, it's like, yeah, once the 5 weeks are up, it's like, man, it's gonna feel like a sort of like a missing part of me. It's not
Yeah.
returning every week.
It is, definitely.
You think something's gonna come up and kind of take the place of it?
Fairy Tale.
Oh God, no! Fuck, please, no. God. Did you read the most recent chapter?
No, I haven't read it. Fairy Tale in like 2 months
It was
now.
so fucking bad. I don't know why I still read it.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, I still. I mean, I guess it's just because it's such a easy read, and it's like I'm just like every so often I'll just click the manga stream tab just to see what's been updated, and like if it'll be there, it'll kill time real quick, you know.
Yeah.
And also, like I mean, I don't know. I like Mashima's earlier work, Rave Master. I think I've said this before.
Yeah.
And like, it's actually kind of interesting because I was kind of thinking about this earlier before for this podcast, but in story, right? Like, as long as you sort of like set up the characters well initially, and like you allow the audience to put a sort of investment into the characters, like they'll stick around even if you fuck shit up. Because they want to see the thing to the end, and they want to know. There's usually a sort of question that's posited about the character and the story, and they want to experience that catharsis and that sort of resolution to it. So, like with like, Fairy Tail definitely had a sort of like a pretty good setup, I would say.
Meeting Igneel, the
Yeah,
dragon.
the whole mystery of that in 777 and what that was the whole about, and just like there are a lot of things in it, and then slowly, I think the sort of integrity of the story really went out the window, and a lot of these mysteries started unraveling, and they were really underwhelming because the guy doesn't really care anymore.
Yeah.
So I mean, but it's just funny because it's like it sucks so bad it pisses me off when I read it. But like, and it's not just me. It's like all the comments on the manga stream tab for Fairy Tail. It's all like it's all ridiculing character intention in action, and it's like. Everyone fucking hates it, but they're still fucking on this train ride. It's like really funny to think about. I don't know.
It's like Stockholm syndrome.
What's Can you give me a definitive?
Stockholm syndrome is like when a victim becomes attached to their captive
Captor.
or their captor. Yeah, their captor. Yeah.
It's like abuse. But yeah, I mean, I felt the same way about Bleach too, to a lesser extent, but still, for a long time, I felt that way about Bleach.
I'm interested now, though.
In Bleach, what Bleach is up to now.
I'm interested.
I would argue, like this most recent chapter was probably one of the best ones I've read in a while. I actually liked it. Like, I actually got a sense of sort of like I got I got some sort of sense of satisfaction.
A boner?
No, I'll never have a boner for Bleach.
An emotional boner? An
What?
intellectual boner?
Half chub. I was about to say that too. Not even a half chub, man. It's kind of more like they sort of like
tingling,
burned your they burned you down there, and you kind of got to dip it a little bit in ice water. It's kind of like a little bit of relief.
Dude, you have a sick analogy, bro. That's gross.
Is that your technique to make it go away?
When I burn my cock, and then I just
ice water.
I mean, I guess neither experience is that pleasurable. That's my point.
All right. To get away from Alex and his anomalies and whatnot, we'll go back to Bleach. Bleach chapter 600 called Snipe, which is, kind of cool. I like this chapter because, the little twist they had.
In all caps.
He, basically blasted this girl's head. She's bleeding all over the floor.
Yeah, that's pretty brutal, man.
Yeah. And, okay, this Pernita fellow or character is... Dude, that's so weird. I remember, when they first drew him standing next to the other ones, they drew him kind of large, but now they look, really small and skinny.
Does he look small? Oh, yeah, he does. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, it's like a twig.
Literally looks like a dick. If you ignore the middle parts, it's just the outline. It's he's got the mushroom poppy.
A strangely shaped dick.
There's tons of phallic. I mean, there's him. The sniper's gun is super phallic.
All guns are phallic.
Dude, no, this thing is black and fucking long, man. This is some Mandingo stuff right here.
It doesn't have a lot of girth though.
Dude, this is penis envy, clearly.
Kubo's
penis envy.
You know what? Snipe is kind of like penis if you kind of... It is penis!
Oh, fuck! Oh.
It's an anagram for penis. Oh
my god, we just broke the manga.
Oh my god.
It is a discovery.
Oh my god.
Alright, podcast over. We're done.
Alright, we'll wrap it up
right.
here, guys.
We did good.
That's the deepest analysis that we could do.
I was on the fly too. I'm really impressed.
Alright, we'll move on to Naruto now, guys. Shit.
Right,
so even on page 10, he's facing the other way, and the islands are kind of falling down. Even the smoke outlines kind of looks like cocks, man.
What?
Look at it.
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm looking at the outlines. I don't think
the islands are falling down, and the smoke is kind of trailing up.
The islands are like the balls. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
No, I don't really see it.
All right, we're pushing it a little now.
All right.
John's just got the cock on his mind.
Dude.
The trees, man. The tree cage.
It's because he's in Japan and he's got that Mandingo cock on his mind. They don't have those over there.
Yeah.
So
I got the hentai on my mind.
Pernita totally rolls what's her face up into a ball, which is kind of disgusting.
Yeah, that's pretty brutal. I had to really look at that. I was like, what? What's happening?
And he's totally talking shit, like Bleach Thor is like, dude, they're weak.
Bleach Thor.
And he's like, oh, has there been anyone that's ever who didn't disappoint us?
Yeah.
And yeah, that
typical bravado bullshit dialogue that Bleach usually has.
And then
We're too good.
Ridiculous gun. And he blasts the little flying saucers out of the sky.
Yeah.
One shot each,
Yeah.
Yeah, man. But it was a ruse.
And then he bows down, and it's all fake because they're just little cloths which we kind of have to go over like her power is actually really dope then because it's
Yeah.
not she just
Pretty
doesn't
crazy.
make cloths that do random shit. Like,
It's Genjutsu again.
yeah, it's like Genjutsu
Yeah.
cloth. Like
For sure.
Everyone has Genjutsu in this series, man.
I wonder if the cloth is a result of her
because
Zanpakuto,
he totally
or
shot the cloth.
Wait,
Yeah, he did.
Wait, say it. You kind of blinked out. What'd you say?
I was wondering if the like Genjutsu and all the cloth deception is a result of her Zanpakuto power, or if it's kind of like her invention, like you know how each of them had a contribution to Soul Society and invented some great thing.
Right.
Maybe if it's separate from her Zanpakuto,
I think that's like her thing.
just her
'Cause-
thing.
Yeah, because you know how the guy has the baths, the spa where he like
Yeah,
heals.
they're
true.
not necessarily affiliated with the Zanpakuto itself.
Yeah,
right?
and
Yeah.
he didn't really contribute a spa to the Soul Society or anything. Like,
Yeah.
He contributed what, like the healing. Maybe he just revolutionized healing or something.
yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. what he
No.
passed down,
He
though.
created the healing division, didn't he?
Did he?
Oh yeah,
yeah. That's
Oh.
what he did. He created the healing division.
yeah.
And
Unohana wasn't really a healer back then.
Yeah,
She was actually Kenpachi.
She
Yeah.
was just a Kenpachi.
Yeah, fucking so random. I don't know.
And then he made her
Yeah.
the healing squad captain. Which is kind of cool. Like, her sword power is like all healing, but she actually like fucking raped at sword fighting. Is that what she was the Kenpachi? Like,
Yeah.
I'm sad that she died.
Yeah, that was random.
I thought it was super random, man.
Yeah.
It would have been great if that was alluded to, and we got to see that thematically, like throughout the sort of like what about the fact that a healer is like really really aggressive and really like sort of prodigious at killing people, like that's like thematically really interesting.
Yeah.
And he didn't fucking touch that at all.
Yeah.
It really was more an aspel than anything else. I felt like.
All it was just like a little bit more set up to beef up Kenpachi,
Right,
which
yeah,
wasn't
yeah.
even that cool anyway. Like,
Yeah.
he beat Grammy, which is kind of a big deal, but he got raped, so whatever.
Yeah, he's kind of out for the count, right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lame.
And there's no more lead healer captain to heal him up anymore. He fucking killed her.
Well, technically, there's the best one is right here, right?
Yeah,
it's
but he's
cool.
kind of preoccupied.
Yeah.
And he's
I
not
guess
going to heal
there's-
Kenpachi. He's
Yeah, not
like,
at the moment,
get,
anyway.
walk it off,
Oh yeah,
Kenpachi.
plus isn't Orihime kind of considered a pretty elite healer because she has that
Definitely.
dimensional like healing
Definitely.
ability that even Aizen wanted.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so-
because the way her healing worked, which is like insane, like that concept is so dope. It's like it basically takes you back in time to before the injury happened.
right.
So it doesn't even heal the injury. It just the injury's never.
It just
happened.
reverses it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It undoes it, which is insane.
Which like, it's like the most like probably like their most useful offensive weapon they have. Like
Offensive weapon.
yeah,
so-
like you just heal and you send them back out. Heal and send them back out. Like, because I mean, I guess defensive wise, like. No, I
It's like
consider that.
she's just an ideal support. She's definitely an
it's
ideal
like
support.
it's like it's really that power is only limited by your own creativity. It seems like there's so many things you can do with it. In a way, it kind of almost ruins plotting because like there's so many problems that could arise that you could technically have solved with their power.
Yeah.
Kind of like the time warping sort of
Like,
thing in Harry
technically, she could have used it on Aizen and been like, oh, you don't have the Hyogoku inside of you.
Yeah, like or like take him back to a time where he was like a toddler or something, or he's like unborn. Right?
Yeah.
Couldn't she have done that? Or yeah, I mean, or more obviously, yeah, before he even had the Hyogoku.
Yeah, like,
Or maybe like he had a primitive brain, like back to before he even realized any of what he had planned out. So he's just kind of here, and it's like all this shit's happening. He has no idea why, because he doesn't know what exactly it is he planned.
I guess, I don't know if it would work on the brain like that. Because that means that whatever like, heals or injuries that Ichigo took during that scarring or during that thing, he would also have forgotten about that fight. Like,
No,
that
I
fight
mean,
would never
no,
happen
like
to him.
because didn't she centralize and focus her powers on segmented areas? It's like I think it's really more about what she decides to move back, right? So if she wanted to, she could probably create a sphere just around the brain itself, right? And then take that back all the way to. Well, I don't know. Like I said, this is really a power that's really only limited by the story, really, and how
Yeah.
far he's willing to let it go.
Which I'm kind of glad he hasn't like done anything ridiculous yet.
Yeah, because it would break the story.
Yeah.
It's a crazy
Well,
power.
the story's
It's
pretty
broken,
easily
right?
broken as it is. So
Yeah. Not gonna argue.
Anyway,
with
so we have all the big reveals of the Zero Squad synergy happening.
yeah,
Synergy.
they're all cool and they're all working together. And then like this is super like dope. Like the chick that made food, that's what she did, right? She made food for them. And like
Yeah. She makes like a food with her Reiatsu,
yeah.
but I guess she can make anything.
Yeah, because she totally made like these trees that are a cage around them. And what's his face? The X guy is like has like a powerful blast that was strong enough to take out each one of those flying saucers in one shot. And like he's known like by Bleach the Orb that he's like, oh, like the man that can blow his way out of anything is stuck here.
That's so. Everything's so phallic. Just blow my way out of it.
Dude, even we saw a little bit of the monk, his power.
Yeah.
He has like a big paintbrush or something.
Yeah,
and
like
he painted like a conceal spell around the
palace.
Oh, so
palace.
do you think the Genjutsu was kind of like partly his power combined with?
It's possible, yeah.
That would be awesome.
That would be, yeah.
You
That'd be
know
ultimate
what the fat lady, her power reminds me of is we were talking about Fairy Tail earlier, but in Mashima's earlier work, Rave Master, there was this guy who was like one of the sort of like big baddies of the story, and he had this sword called Yggdrasil, and Yggdrasil I think is it's
Oh
Greek.
yeah, drizzle.
Yggdrasil.
Yggdrasil.
Yeah, it's like it's supposed to be a tree.
Yggdrasil.
Yeah, I think it's the tree of life, right?
Yeah.
I forget what. Oh, it's North. Yeah, so it's North mythology. But
Norse.
but yeah, his weapon was what it was called, and it had it had the sort of like wood element to it, and basically any sort of like elemental attack that happened to it, or even physical attack, it would sort of absorb it, and it would use that sort of same energy and power against the person who attacked it. So it's kind of like really similar actually, because here she has like a tree. They're basically like giant tree trunks, right? And
Yeah.
they get shot, but she says right here that it's like this tree of life would not simply just let such delectable morsels slip through. Even if it does get pierced by bullets, they would only exponentially accelerate its growth. So it feeds off that energy. So it's kind of like the same.
Feeds off of Reiatsu, and his bullet, she says, is an
Is all
extremely
Reiatsu.
high
Yeah.
concentration of Reishi souls.
Yeah.
And she even calls his bullets, which are like super powerful, she says delectable morsels, which is just like, that's how weak you are, bitch. Like,
Well, I mean, on some end, though, she's saying like, oh, there's a significant amount of stuff in here, and they love it.
And she's definitely got plenty of Reiatsu to keep the cage up because she's in fat mode.
yeah, and then the main event, Brandon Jennings jumps out, the number one.
Brandon Jennings?
Dude, he's the
that
number
what you
one.
said?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
He's the number one Zanpakuto creator. And this is interesting, like he comes with like this giant backpack container thing of water. Or what I believe is water.
Yeah, some kind of liquid.
He was wearing it like a backpack. I didn't know.
Yeah. And he takes it out and he wipes it off. And it's like, oh, like all roads are closed for you, small fry. Bitch ass. He says, come at me all at once. Battle of Zero Squad Zero officially starts now. And I think the 2 points of this is like, 3 points. A, what is that liquid and why does he need it? Why can't he just like carry his sword around like a normal person? B, what is his sword power? Because, we haven't even, as the man that created all Zanpakuto, like, I wonder what his sword does. Like, because it'd be crazy if, like, this theory I had was that his Zanpakuto has every Zanpakuto power in the world.
That'd be so OP.
He can basically use everyone's sword power.
He would have Aizen's too.
Yeah.
That's fucking retarded.
He would have Yamamoto. He would have everyone, dude.
His power is basically like Ditto
Yeah.
from Pokemon. Like transform into any Zanpakuto.
And C, how strong is he to where he confidently jumps down into the cage that they're stuck in and says, all of you against me, let's go. Like,
Yeah, that's pretty baller, man. Not gonna lie. Like even the monk, he's not even in the fray. He's just guarding this whole.
Yeah, he's just watching.
So.
He's just like, oh, it looks like we're starting, guys. And like, Kirinji, who like was there initially, could totally have like, oh, okay. Going back to Kirinji,
he's in there.
What makes sense that Kirinji didn't follow them? You know how they walked past him?
Wait, who's Kirinji? What?
He's the water guy with the funny hair.
Oh,
and, like,
okay, yeah.
the reason that he didn't like try to chase them down and fight them once they walked past him and moved on to the sewing chick is because he knew they'd have to walk back that way to get to the palace anyway. So that's why he stayed there. It's like, all right, like once they get past that part of the trap, if they try to go back to the palace, then I'll fight them.
We haven't even seen him yet, though, huh?
We have seen him.
We did, yeah.
Oh, we did?
He engaged them first.
He was the first one to attack.
No. I mean, since that time, though.
Yeah, since that time.
Like, in this chapter, we haven't seen... Like, they showed all 4 except that guy, right?
Yeah.
So maybe he's doing something even crazier. I don't know what he's doing.
Dude. And you know what? Like, you're not going to be, like, the Zero Squad and, like... It just wouldn't make sense for the Zero Squad to try and take them on one-on-one, like...
Yeah.
Like,
it's just
they
like
totally need to have a plan.
Stupid. They can't be dumb.
Yeah,
you know
they can't
what I mean?
be dumb.
Like, they can't lose by some sort of bullshit reason. Otherwise, it's like, what's the difference then between them and just, like, the average other Captain Soldier or whatever?
Like, I think, like, to have them, like, effectively matter, right, is they'd have to beat Juhabak's elite squad. Like, not, like, wipe the floor with them, but win. They beat them, and then they lose to, like, Juhabak and Hashwal. Or, like, what's his face? Ishida has, like, his significance show up at this point. Like, oh, another one of, like, Stern Ritter W for win, where you can't touch me, huh?
Yeah.
I mean, they're definitely outnumbered. I guess when you consider the Elite Force plus Juhabak and Hashwal and Ishida, yeah. So they could get taken down a little.
And it's dope because, like, having the decoy die made them have, like, the Stern Ritter have, like, this false confidence boost. And that kind of, like, puts them off their guard a little. Like, if you show up to a fight and you, like, totally wreck on the first guy, like, no problem, then you're probably like, oh, is that all they got? Like, let's take it.
Yeah, it's going to be easy.
Yeah, and then once they think it's easy, that's when they lose. And then...
I hope it's a good fight. That's all I hope for.
I think it will be. I feel like this has set the tone for it in a pretty sort of satisfying manner.
Yeah.
I feel like it hasn't been this in a while. Like, to be honest, like, when I was reading this chapter, I was raging super hard. Like, usually Bleach annoys me, but the early part of this chapter, like, I was like really, really sort of like getting irritated, and I was like, I can't believe like he's really passing this off as okay. Like, the girl had her head blown off, and she was just fucking lying there with like this blood afro looking shit coming out, and I was just like, what the hell is this? This is so fucking stupid. Like, I was like really mad because, like, I mean, that's part of the thing is like, the earlier part of this chapter didn't feel completely out of place for the kind of things that Kubo writes. You know what I mean?
It'd be funny if like he did everything he did in his manga to like set up this sort of twist. He's like, I got him. They know I fuck this shit up all the time. He's like, all right, twist.
They're gonna win this time.
Yeah, but then it was like a huge relief actually when it kind of turned around. Like, I mean, I feel like a lot of Bleach's twists are really sort of predictable, and it's kind of
they're not
really well thought out.
They're not particularly like inventive.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I rarely do I feel like really sort of like taken aback. Or
Although the Aizen one was great, I'll give him credit for that.
Yeah.
The first Aizen one was great.
Obviously, yeah, that's sort of the end of the Soul Society arc. Yeah, it was like pretty crazy. But I mean, like, just in general though, because he throws so many twists out in every arc, it's like it gets really redundant after a while. But then this one was like, I don't know, there's
tasteful.
Yeah, I haven't really looked too into why it worked out so well. Maybe just probably because it sort of redeemed the Zero Squad.
It's because it's finally a twist in the favor of the good guys.
No, because there've been twists on the side of good guys too, and like I didn't really particularly care for it. Like, it didn't. Yeah, no, I think it has something to do with the fact that it's like this is a Zero Squad, and like
I think that's it.
Yeah, there's so little
it
I
kind
think to
of-
hold on to the sort of like structural sort
They're
of
sort of the final authority here.
yeah,
like-
and it's like, come on, like really, like what was the point of this sort of like hierarchy you built? Then everything it kind of crumbles everything down the line, like and so at least it maintains that. I guess it's really about the consistency more than it is anything else. He kind of protected the consistency of the own sort of universe he created.
Well, I wouldn't get too carried away because they could totally just get wiped at the next chapter, and that'll be Kubo signing.
I think they're gonna lose, and like knowing Kubo, like there's probably gonna be some fucking dumb reason why it happens. But at least for now, I get the feeling that they're gonna have a pretty awesome fight. It's gonna be like is it 4 enemy commanders?
Yeah, the Elite Four.
So I'm guessing it's gonna be 5-on-5. It's gonna be Hoshwalt joining in the mix, and Hoshwalt's probably gonna be taking on the monk dude, and then it's 4-on-4, and they're all just gonna be doing crazy orgy battle, just tons and tons of. It's all about team synergy.
Wishful thinking, bro.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I
a
think-
big orgy battle is very wishful thinking.
I think the most important part of this chapter is that Ohetsu is he's totally wearing slippers.
Don't they all wear
And a vest.
He's
And a
totally
captain style vest.
Yeah.
wearing slippers, dude. He's like,
Sweater vest.
Wait, what?
he's totally wearing just slippers, dude.
Yeah, he's wearing slippers.
I come to
pretty
fight in
baller.
slippers, bruh.
That's probably exactly his voice. Prince, like Dave Chappelle doing Prince is his voice.
Come at me all at once. Shut your mouths and come at me all at once, yo.
Computer blow.
The battle squad, or the battle of Squad Zero, officially starts now. Game slippers.
Bitches.
All right. Yeah. I guess my prediction for next week is that they actually fight. Actually, no, dude. I predict that we go back down to Ichigo.
Ichigo. Yeah, we haven't seen. Well, I don't know. Like, I feel like that would ruin the momentum that's being built here, though.
Yeah, no, but this is Kubo.
Come on.
Everything's gonna happen off screen.
Come
dude.
on, dude.
We're gonna come back.
I really hope we stick with this for a while.
Yeah, I hope so too.
Dude, no, everything's gonna happen off screen, and then they're all just gonna be dead. And then, like,
Now, you know what? No, I think he knows what at least he has. I think he knows when he has a good thing going. Like, okay, I better stick to this.
ride the wave out.
Yeah. So, I think he's gonna let the momentum carry itself forward.
All right, so I guess we'll move on to Naruto then.
For sure. We're hyped for Bleach, so let's move on to Naruto.
Yeah, because, dude, honestly, I haven't been super hyped for Bleach in a while now, and I'm super hyped. Like, fuck yeah!
I'm hyped for
I have a chub.
Yeah, I'll admit it. I got you.
I'll admit it. I'm chubbing and proud. All right, moving on to Naruto, chapter 695. Oh shit, it's gonna barely break 700.
I think it ends at 700.
Oh, it's
That's
gonna be
the
yeah.
point. Yeah.
It'd be funny if it ended on 699.
Oh yeah, no, my story wasn't 700 chapters long. It was 699.
It's kind of genius too because that movie that they were advertising, the last Naruto movie, it comes out like December, so
Yeah.
kind of works out perfectly for them.
I actually have like a huge thing about that I need to bring up, but maybe
About the movie?
yeah.
I just have one quick question. Is Kishimoto like running that shit on that movie? Like,
Yeah, I think
It's like his story
I
and
think
stuff?
I think he's. I don't know. Let me look it up. I think it's Naruto the Last, right?
I really hope so, man. I hope it's not some bullshit like non-canonical story and it's just like
No,
random adventure.
I think what I've heard so far of it is that it is for sure. Let's see, Naruto the Last.
The Rasto.
Um,
Quick fact check for listeners. if you
dude,
don't know
Psy's coming out. Oh my god, it's been so long since I've seen Psy. Oh my god, he became so irrelevant so fast.
Dude, I always hated Sai.
yeah, I wasn't really into his plight as a character, to be honest.
I thought his power was dumb.
I didn't think it was that believable. Like his sort of issue. I didn't think it really added too much to the story.
I was raised to have no emotions.
Oh, that was his problem? I don't even remember. He was so dumb.
Yeah, dude. It doesn't say. Or at least it doesn't say on the wiki. I feel like it should though.
Does it say like writing credits to
It do-
Kishimoto?
Yeah,
or-
it doesn't say that. Yeah. Oh yeah, so it's written by. It's not directed by Kishimoto, but it is going to be written by him.
So it is like part of the story, basically. It's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
way after.
I think
these
yeah.
events
As
or
far
something.
as I'm concerned, it sounded like it was gonna be the sort of conclude. You know, okay. So here's the sort of problem that I kind of thought of that I think you guys aren't gonna like at all. But
Okay.
if you look at the poster of the last, so Naruto has his headband, right? He's older. Kakashi's got his headband. Sai's got his headband. The girls and Shikamaru, they don't have their headbands on. But most importantly, at the very bottom is a panel of Sasuke, who's wearing a headband without a country on it, right? He's still got one Sharingan and one Rinnegan, which makes me believe that he's gonna still be the fucking antagonist of this movie, which means that I get the feeling that this story is not concluding at 700. The manga is gonna conclude, but the central problem of the plot is not gonna be done, and so they're gonna force us to fucking watch this movie to see it through to the end. That's what I'm thinking they're doing.
So they're gonna try and make a bunch of money off
yeah,
the movie by
and
forcing
I was
people-
like, the thought of that really pissed me off, to be completely honest. But I think that's what's gonna happen because
basically the whole like the motivation to watch the movie as like the last part of Naruto that we're gonna see is not strong enough. People need to be motivated to finish up the story, and therefore they have to watch the movie to
watch
know
the
what
movie
happens.
through. Yeah,
It's basically gonna end then like how the last fight at the valley ended, right? One of them is just gonna be kind of defeated, and then, well, obviously Sasuke will defeat Naruto, and Sasuke will leave again. Is it safe to say that?
no, I don't think so. I mean, they might come to some sort of stall or something, or maybe Naruto wins and he can't find in himself to defeat him, and so I don't know.
Sasuke can't accept it.
Yeah, but he doesn't change his mind. So it's like maybe they have to imprison him, and the movie is about him breaking out, or like I don't know. I feel like that's a real double beat. Whereas if Naruto loses again, that's gonna feel really redundant, and it's like he didn't really grow at all. Like I think what his belief was when he lost was that he didn't have the power it took to protect his friend. And that's not really what the issue was. I think that was a mistake in his belief as a character. So the problem was that he just couldn't really understand what Sasuke was about, or he couldn't help Sasuke like emotionally as a person, you know. And so he's gonna have the power to stop him, but that again isn't enough. And maybe this movie is gonna be about that sort of emotional shift, you know. And in him, they're older now, and Sasuke is gonna do his final sort of thing. And in this conclusion, we get to see that kind of get fixed or whatever. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's just like if you look at it, all the guys except Shikamaru, they're wearing Konoha headbands. Sasuke is not wearing a fucking ninja headband, which makes me think that he's still a missing nin. Or maybe it's like, I guess another argument you could say is that he's not wearing it because if he was wearing the Konoha headband, then it would give away the
That he
ending
came
of the
back.
story. So maybe it's like
Maybe you're reading into it too much.
yeah, possibly. But I don't know, like it's kind of cryptic, right? Because there's no enemy on the poster. I mean, almost every single almost every single Naruto movie that's come out, I think they've always kind of like advertised the antagonist of the story, and like there's no clear sort of thing about who the antagonist is.
And what kind of antagonist would be there
Right,
where
he
it would
could-
take both Sasuke and Naruto to beat his ass? Like,
Because we've already seen Kaguya, so I think the problem is going to be between Naruto and Sasuke. So I think the whole thing is going to hinge on the conclusion of the story is going to hinge on this movie.
which is whack.
Yeah, I mean, on some end, it's kind of like, it's kind of good because it extends the plot a little bit more, and I definitely think they need more than 5 chapters to see this through
Yeah.
in any sort of satisfying manner.
I think they need 5 chapters of just talking and then like 20 chapters of just fighting to see this through.
I think it's just totally like a money ploy, right?
Yeah.
It's so dumb. Like you could easily have just concluded it on paper. Like they didn't have to go through all the work of making a movie.
Dude,
Yeah.
it's the going trend nowadays, man. All these manga
It
writers
is,
are
yeah.
sellouts, dude. Except
Yeah.
for Oda. Oda keeps it real.
I mean, they make tons of movies, and so I don't know if he necessarily isn't a sellout, but I can't call him a sellout because he makes a fucking awesome story. The
Yeah,
quality
no,
hasn't gone
that's
down.
the thing is like he holds on to that integrity no matter it is seemingly no matter what. I hopefully knock
Hopefully
on
he's-
fucking wood.
yeah,
he does
he
not.
keeps it all the way to the end, right?
What if he's on the fucking last arc where they're at fucking at what's that island called at the end?
Raftel.
And it's like he just fucking throws the story out the window. Like, what if One Piece is literally just like, oh, like it's the crown of just the world, and like, oh, now he's king of the world. Like this crown, like if you wear it, you're automatically king, and everyone has to listen to you.
No, it's like, oh no, it's One Piece is having your friends around you.
I think you know. I think it is going to be to some extent that though. It's going to be about the journey. I think, you know, and then also about the true history. I think of the world and stuff like that. But I mean, I wouldn't say that it's. I would if you're going to be disappointed about One Piece being about friendship, then I think you're going to be disappointed.
I might be disappointed.
It's going to be a lot of things. I think it's going to
Yeah.
be everything that ties everything together.
Yeah.
You know.
I think it's gonna be like combination of like knowledge of all like the ancient weapons and all the ancient history, and the ability of not using that knowledge in like a negative way. That's like One Piece.
Yeah, it's gonna be the thing that could either destroy or fix everything. I think.
Yeah.
I think that's why Gold Roger probably. Well, okay, this is a discussion for One Piece because this is where we should be talking about Naruto.
All right, yeah, we're gonna move back. Chapter 695, Naruto and Sasuke 2. Starts off with the little throwback. Go Kakyo no Jutsu! Ah, fireball. And then, like, Naruto's like, fireball? Bitch, please, I'm a Jinchuriki. And he just, like, he palms that shit, dude. And then, like, his left eye power and, like, cool.
Yeah, Sasuke's got that instant teleportation. Which, I mean, I guess it kind of seems... this is, I guess, one of those problems with... I feel like even the anime would have a problem with this, but it's like... So many of these characters are so fast and they do this sort of, like, real fast movement stuff all the time. So it's hard to delineate, but, like, the purpose of Sasuke's power is that he can literally just instantly be somewhere. It's kind of like the Yellow Flash power, but at a whim, without any sort of setup.
Basically.
Yeah, it's kind of like pretty OP.
But I guess, like, the difference is that he can't just do his all the time like the Yellow Flash could have.
What do you mean? Because it like takes up too much chakra? Or...
No, they said... you remember how he said
he
has like a weight...
distance. He has a spatial restriction.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
no, it also said that he has like a cooldown time, like,
Oh,
so
that's
I
it?
can't just use it like again. He said that, yeah.
Okay.
He said I can't do it at I have like a distance limitation and like a time limitation on it.
Yeah. I guess, yeah, you know, in that sense, it's like the Yellow Flash has some really awesome non-restrictions. Like,
Yeah,
he could teleport a Buggy-sama, like, to, like, many,
way
many
far
miles
away, just because
yeah.
he has a marker there. Like,
Yeah.
that's crazy.
God, that's such a convenient power. Like, if I had that, like, I'd leave a marker, like, somewhere, like, in the bathroom of my college campus so I don't have to drive there.
Yeah.
And, like, yeah, just, like, fucking
The
place
one
that shit
bathroom
everywhere.
stall, but like you hope to God no
No
one's in
one's
there
in
when you
there.
teleport there. Like.
Yeah.
And okay, I thought this was kind of whack. He like shoots like his Susanoo arrows at him, and he throws like the little Godo Dama balls,
Yeah.
and it cancels out. Like, are you kidding me? Like,
Those things are supposed to be, like, indestructible, though.
yeah,
the
it's supposed to be
yeah.
like basically like a black hole. Like
It's like
anything it touches,
antimatter.
yeah,
It's like,
anything that
yeah,
touches.
yeah.
So it should just like have eaten those and like continued on to Susanoo. Like,
Yeah. And
But-
just, like, swallowed, like, just, like, literally eating portions of Sasuke, just, like, leaving him, like...
but I guess that's the question, because technically Susanoo is the impenetrable defense,
Mhm.
and that's like the offensive attack that like destroys everything. So
You know,
what would win?
Susanoo hasn't been an impenetrable defense, though, for a while now. It's been taking lots of hits and taking cracks and damages from all sorts of enemies, I feel like. Particularly with Kaguya and then Madara.
Really, Madara?
Well, I would expect it not to be completely impenetrable. That would be pretty ridiculous. But I agree. Those freaking black balls, man, like, they're supposed to undo jutsu. And what is Sharingan? I mean, what is...
What is Susanoo but a
yeah, what is
jutsu, right?
Susanoo besides
A
a jutsu?
yeah.
right? So, pretty whack. Pretty typical, though.
And then,
Maybe because it's an unstoppable force meeting an immovable object.
that's what my question was. Like, why? How was that making sense? But and then like he whips out like partial Ninetales mode, which is cool.
Isn't that full Ninetales mode?
No, full Ninetales mode. He would have like a fox. It's like a giant chakra cloak.
I think this was explained to be his full Ninetales, right?
Well, his full Ninetales.
I mean, it's not like
Ninetales.
the other people's, right? Yeah, it's not like what's his name, Gaara's, which was literally the fucking sand beast.
Yeah, it's kind of it
Or bees.
hasn't really been defined, I think. Cause like remember when Naruto broke out of the Sage or Pain's like the Rinne Tensei? Was it Rinne
like the
Tensei?
skeleton along with the
Yeah,
chocolate cloak.
and it's like so obviously the difference being that there's animal characteristics and this one's a lot more ethereal. And I think you can kind of I mean I guess like really this one's supposed to be stronger cuz it's in synergy with the host. But I don't know, like the other one was a lot scarier. It seemed a lot more intimidating.
Yeah,
And stronger to me.
exactly.
Like it seemed a lot more uncontrollable, and like it didn't seem like something even Susanoo could take on if it wanted to.
I suppose that's Kishi's point, though.
And
What do you think? Wait, what do you mean? What is this point?
Because it was uncontrollable, it looked kind of messed up.
scarier.
Right.
Yeah,
I think.
but still, this is
I think this is just
kind of
what
lame.
you said, John. I think this is not Naruto's Ninetales mode, like because he
Yeah, I
never
think
had
so.
the full chakra. So
which is kind of dumb though, because like even like B when he went full Eight Tails, it was literally the image of the Eight Tails.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Like
the
the
thing
exact-
is, he at most he's had half the chakra in it.
Doesn't he have full chakra now?
No, the other half is sealed away right now. Up in the.
Oh right, you're right.
I think I would way rather see the actual Ninetales. You know what I mean?
So would I.
It's
Yeah.
so,
So
much
much
more
rather.
badass and just like
Yeah.
it would look
Well,
cooler.
Something that I had considered though, like in this image on page 11, this was kind of cool, like the waves going around, but it's like Sasuke's wearing like a cloak, if you will, like, and Naruto's wearing a cloak too, instead of like Naruto standing on top of the Ninetales' head or something like that.
Mhm.
Like Sasuke's standing on top of something he summoned, so it's like a battle of like them and their like cloak that they have. Like, so I guess that's why like I dig that it's not, he doesn't have the actual Ninetales out here.
Well, I mean, Naruto could technically turn into the Ninetales though, couldn't he have?
Could he?
Yeah, I mean, like remember, Gaara turned into the One Tail.
But Gaara had the entire One Tails chakra.
Oh
And
no!
Naruto
Okay.
at some point only
so
had the
that's okay.
half.
I mean, that's like a whole different discussion, though. I mean, I think we're just talking about aesthetic, sort of like looks, especially for a final sort of climactic confrontation, right? Like, I don't know. I mean, it would be way more badass to see the actual Ninetales. You know, the thing's been built up for the entire fucking series, and it's like, it'd be pretty great to see that thing, in all its glory. You know,
Yeah.
things bared and just like.
And then we go into flashbacks, them comparing their lives as children. And, you know, their early interactions and, like, all the emotion that's riding in on this fight. Like, all the years. Well, years for us. Decades for us, almost.
Decades for us, years for them.
Years for them.
It's kind of ridiculous that both of these kids were able to like sustain themselves in this village without like any kind of. Well, I guess Naruto had Ikura. What's his name?
Iruka?
Iruka.
Yeah, Iruka.
But look, Sasuke's house is literally like fucking cobwebs growing everywhere, like dishes unwashed. Like, how did he survive? Jesus Christ, man.
He was like just like lying down on his tatami mat. There's like no
Yeah, that's
furniture
it.
anywhere. He's just like bored out of his fucking mind. No Game Boy, just just
Yeah, I
looking
wonder
up at
if,
the
like,
ceiling.
How does he eat, man? He doesn't have a job.
Government, dude. The
their
government.
jobs were,
Yeah.
Dude.
were the missions, remember? They got paid for doing missions.
They probably
This is
hunt
pre
for-
ninja though.
Oh yeah, as kids.
He probably survived off of welfare.
Yeah, I guess so, huh?
And
foster
now he's
kids.
bitching. Now he's bitching.
He's gonna bite that hand that fed him.
Yeah, man.
You know what'd be funny is if they collided fists and like you don't get any of these flashbacks. All it is just that scene of them kissing. It's just like that one scene.
I knew it was your true emotion.
Just like every page for the rest of the chapter was just like them kissing,
Different
like
angles.
different angles of it.
Oh my
Here's the
God.
bottom angle. Here's bird's eye view.
So this is cool, except I'm also disappointed because, like, all right, on the Ninetales Fox end, it's cool. He jumps out of the water and does like a tailed beast bomb, Naruto style with his hands and stuff. But Sasuke and Susanoo comes at him with the freaking like Chidori. Are you kidding me? Like, the Chidori got raped by Naruto's Rasengan back in the day. Like, it totally messed up Sasuke's arm. And he's like, oh, a tailed beast bomb? Oh, I got a Chidori for that. Like, dude, that's totally not even the same. Like, like it's cool that he can make a giant Chidori on Susanoo's hand, alright? That's cool. That takes a lot of chakra, I'm sure. But, dude, that's a tailed beast fucking bomb. Like, how does that even make sense? And they totally make, like, this, spirit bomb size thing. And somehow the
page you
statues
talking
aren't
about?
destroyed. Page 19, where they collapse.
Oh, you skipped ahead quite a bit.
Oh yeah, I've
But
been,
yeah,
I've
okay.
been moving along. He like makes Chidori, clashes, and they make like a spirit bomb from the thing. And then they're in like White World, and they're like, oh, now we can talk, bro. Because we fist bumped with our strongest techniques. Mine's a Chidori. I don't know. I'm dissatisfied.
It
Sasuke
feels
could've-
really redundant. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? It's
They
we
had
don't-
one fist bump already. Like,
Yeah, like they don't. At this point, like they should be in conflict, and we should see through their actions what it is that's at stake for them. Like we don't need them fucking having this conversation, and we don't even need them to be in this white world. Like they should be talking it out in the real world. You know what I mean?
while
It's
they're
like-
fighting.
Yeah. If anything, save this fist bump thing for like the very end.
Of the fight.
You know,
yeah.
where it's like, and then it's like, it's everything unravels and Sasuke finally gets it. You know, he understands. It's like the whole thing is about Naruto saying, listen, like, what happened to you really sucks. It sucks. It was absolutely unforgivable. Like, there's just nothing we can do about it anymore than to move on. And I'm here for you. And can't that be enough? And like, and that's like, that's gotta be like, you know, the whole emotional catharsis of the whole thing. And it's like, why this is like so stupid. It's redundant, really. It really is redundant. I feel like we already know, like even the flashbacks too. It's like because this is ultimately for the audience, right? And we already know all that stuff, you know.
Yeah.
Like we
Dude.
it's kind of pretty fresh in our minds still. So it's just like we already know what's writing for them. So let's see that interaction. Let's see the action between them. Let's see them having a sort of like argument between each other and fighting that shit out because we already know why they're in it. You know what I mean? It's like we've been fucking talking about it for the past.
The entire freaking like manga has been like to this, like
Yeah.
a build up to this. So like,
Feels very anticlimactic. You know, it's just kind of like.
and
Honestly, if you're fighting to the death and you're thinking, if your mind is racing that much and actually flashing back to these memories, you're not gonna win the fight. Like, you're gonna be caught off guard pretty easily.
I think they're
You
both,
need to be like
both- I
super
mean,
focused. Yeah,
I think they're both kind of there though, right? They're both kind of thinking constantly about it.
which is so dumb.
and I think
man.
they're
Like,
both like strong enough to where they're like, oh, like, I'll see it coming if he tries to kill me. I don't know. And like, what if this is the conclusion of the fight? What if they ended it just
Oh
right
my
there?
god, don't even, dude. Oh, Jesus
What if it's just
Christ.
4 chapters of talking, and then what happens in the future now? You know?
We need to go deeper, dude. They're gonna start fighting in the White Realm, and they're gonna fist bump again.
And then they're gonna go to the Black Realm.
The Black Realm, dude. Yeah, dude. And then they're gonna time travel to the time of the dinosaurs. Dude. I don't know, man. It feels really redundant. I'm definitely dissatisfied as well. And we only got 4 chapters too, man. It's like,
Yep.
jeez.
The whole chapter is something /end.
Yeah.
That /end is becoming a real thing, dude.
Oh god. Oh man.
that what?
At the end of every chapter, there's always chapter something end. Of every single manga ever. It
yeah.
has that.
Yeah.
And that end is it's becoming a reality.
Dude,
Yeah,
we
definitely.
need chapters for epilogue too. right?
That's the movie, man. That's gonna be
Yeah,
the
it's
movie.
gonna be the movie. Yeah, I get the feeling this is gonna not conclude, and I think we're gonna get the conclusion in the film. They're gonna have a time skip, and then it's gonna be like,
You know what? You know what this is like? Which, like, now that I think about this other thing, I can understand your rage a little at this idea of, like, the movie concluding the story. It's like, what if J.K. Rowling went all the way up to, like...
oh, you fucker!
She,
don't
she
even
ended
say
the
that.
story
Oh,
at the
man.
Battle of Hogwarts.
Yeah.
Like, right before then. That's the end of book 7.
Yeah.
And then the last movie, we had to see what happened.
And then
I would have been so fucking pissed.
She didn't even
And
need
she
it,
would've-
though. Everyone.
No,
wanted
she
to see
didn't.
the
She
movie,
didn't.
yeah.
And I don't think she needs it either, which is why, to me, like, now I think about it, it makes no sense. He
Well,
doesn't need this.
He's been kind of like inconsistent though for the last 100 chapters, I would say. So I think a lot of the readership has kind of teetered off, and maybe it's a little bit more.
The movie will, like,
necessary.
get people talking again.
Yeah, especially if like the people who are loyal, they see it and it ends up being good. You know, it actually kind of wraps up the series in a way that satisfies the audience, where a lot of the stuff was missing.
wishful thinking.
But yeah, they might say it, and it's like, yeah, no, you gotta see it because it actually really does wrap some things up that, like,
It does the story justice.
yeah, and it's like, oh, okay, I guess we all have to see it then.
I would have much rather seen a movie. I mean, I would have much rather seen him conclude the story the way it should be in the manga, and then see some, like, fun epilogue movie
Yeah,
of, like, an adventure in the future.
in the future.
Yeah, just like where everything's resolved already, and we can just see.
Enjoy
The
it
characters
for
we know.
enjoyment's sake.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, okay, they're going on a, like, maybe one last adventure or something.
One last mission, Team 7, bruh.
Yeah. But I would have rather seen this whole Naruto Sasuke thing resolved in the manga.
Wishful thinking.
Right. I mean, yeah.
All right.
Wishful thinking. We know it's not going to happen, but...
I'm
Anyway, go ahead.
predicting that the fight is over now, and they're just gonna talk it out to the rest of the
Oh,
story.
Jesus,
That's what I'm
man.
predicting right now. Dude. You don't want to hear it, but it's just 'cause
It's set,
like,
it's set up to be exactly that, actually.
yeah,
right?
and you don't want to
They're in
hear
this
it.
white
but
world.
It's because it is like a possible reality, a more than possible reality.
Man.
I could see the next chapter being totally, like, 80% talking, though.
I can see it being 95% talking.
I will,
And
you know what?
he throws a kunai.
And then one more fist bump.
No, he throws a kunai.
Okay, listen,
Dodge this.
I'll say this. I don't know how long Kishimoto has been working on the screenplay for the movie, but that's not something that, I mean, maybe that's part of the reason why the stuff has teetered off so much is because he's been investing time into this movie story.
Not an excuse.
Yeah, no, obviously not, but I mean, it's still, you're talking about reality. It's like writing a film screenplay. It takes a lot of effort. So, I mean, yeah, it kind of makes sense now when you're thinking about it. Like, he had to sort of coordinate his own manga story to sort of work in sort of junction with this movie. And movies do have a sort of, like, ability to wrap up a sort of, like, moral argument between people a lot more concisely because everything's so kind of jam-packed. Everything, it's like you don't get a lot of liberties you get in the same way a manga does. I'm not saying that I like this. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm just saying that I can see like a movie can arc characters way faster than like a manga can. So we might be able to kind of get a little bit of salvage. We might be able to salvage the situation a little bit because otherwise I can't even imagine how this can possibly salvage itself in the next 4 chapters.
Well, it can't.
Yeah.
And, like, to that point,
I think
it's totally inexcusable then because, like, he sacrificed the quality of the work he's put a decade of his life in to make a fucking movie. He could have waited till after he finished the manga to write the movie.
Uh-huh.
And it wouldn't have affected the story. So if that's the reality, which I can buy because you're right, it is hard work. He made a bad decision.
I feel like it had to have been a little ways into him kind of not doing very good though. You know what I mean?
No, that's what I'm saying. It makes sense because it's hard work to work on 2 projects at the same time, and you're juggling the exact same things and planning for the movie script.
What I'm saying though is like I think that Naruto started to take a nosedive before the thought even. Maybe they were talking about the idea of a film at the end,
ending a movie,
but I don't think they were detailing anything yet. And I think I still hold to the fact that I think Kishi was really over this. I think he was done doing this stuff, and I think the series probably started taking a nosedive, and it was just going really, really south really fast. And I think at some point they're like, okay, well, maybe what we can do.
Not in popularity though.
Well, yeah, because it takes a while for that stuff to hit. Like when a story starts to really kind of hit the shitter, like people still kind of hang on, especially if it's been good for so long. You know, I mean, look at us. I mean, we held on to the very end. You know what I mean? But I mean, I imagine that there are probably a lot of people who just kind of jump ship when they were like, okay, this is getting so fucking stupid. And honestly, I wouldn't blame them for that.
Well, I think the most of people just read the story just to like read a story. I don't think they're as invested as we are in like the plot and how it develops and stuff. I think most people are like, oh cool, that happened. Oh cool, that happened. Oh cool, that happened. You know, like even if it sucks or not. So I think that's the majority of their viewers, and the people that are like really like looking into the story and like see how it should have been and which could have been better and stuff. I feel like those people are invested enough in the story to not jump ship anyway because it sucks. Because they've been invested in the story for so long, like we are. So by taking a nosedive, all that happened is that like the story got worse. I don't think he lost any popularity or any money in the story getting worse. I really don't think so at all.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, maybe it is really just a matter of him just like he doesn't want to dedicate his life to this thing anymore. But he's like, okay, but I can't let it crash. Like that's just something. There's a sort of internal conflict inside himself, right? And so for maybe at some point he was like, okay, I really, really don't want to do this. And they're like, okay, well maybe you can sort of, like maybe halfway through the war arc or whatever, like they're like, okay, why don't you just try to wrap this up 3 years into the future? Like, or like, you know, let's time skip past this thing because you can't work through all this shit. And you can solely focus on this relationship between these two main characters because that's kind of what this whole thing has been about since the beginning. And just make a film about that, and maybe you could sort of salvage the problem or something. I mean, I could kind of see that maybe that was sort of part of the discussion somewhere down the line.
I think there's a chance that kind of goes with what you're saying, that he was overwriting this story, but he wasn't over the concept of Naruto and ninjas and stuff. So he wrote a separate story, which is the movie, like just on his own, and then he will say, hey guys, why don't we actually make a movie out of this? I think there's a chance of that having happened. Because like, you know, like this whole like Naruto thing is still badass, you know, like, you know, fucking chakra and shit, and like making jutsus and stuff. So like, I think he was like, all right, like I'm overwriting this regular manga story that I have here. So why don't I use like all of the same premise and create some random side story? And then like he brought it up to the developers or the editors or whoever owns whichever rights. And he's like, hey, let's actually make a movie out of this, and that's what happened. Like, maybe it won't even like tie in the end of the story at all. Maybe the story actually will end in the next 4 chapters right now.
Yeah,
because the fight is over right now. They're going to talk it out.
Only time will tell, I guess.
Yes,
it'd be kind of funny if like it'd be kind of funny if Sasuke dies at the end of this, and the movie is like totally not canon, and it's just like it's like an alternate universe.
An alternate universe.
That would be the ultimate troll.
It's an alternate universe where Naruto brought him back the first time they fought at the Valley of the End.
Dude. Sadness.
The first time he beat him.
Oh, hey, yeah, that would be hilarious. Give us your money.
I'm not sure if hilarious is the right word.
The first like scene of the movie is that scene, and it's like Naruto wins and brings him home, and that's how the movie starts.
And it's all in his head.
Yeah.
It's like he was dreaming. It's like, oh, you know how he was knocked out in the rain after the Valley of the End battle?
Yeah.
It's like that was what he was dreaming.
It's like, damn, I can't keep taking these drugs anymore. I keep waking up random places.
What's the significance of this red scarf on the poster? Do we know? Have we seen it?
Okay, so people are speculating that Konohamaru died. And he took
Oh,
the scarf.
was his scarf red?
No, I think it was different. I'm not sure what color it was. But
I think it was
that's
blue.
But that's what, I don't know, people have been speculating. It's like, because why else would he have a scarf? I don't really know.
I hope so. That little nigga was useless.
No, dude, he totally beat one of the Pain bodies. Remember that?
Actually,
Yeah, what's he done since then?
Actually, no, he didn't, because that guy came back.
Yeah, no, but he still beat him.
That was like in a dire situation too. I remember he saved someone's life by, or maybe he saved his own life.
It was his own teacher.
But anyway, like he hasn't been in the story. I was actually really interested in Konohamaru. Like, He could have been a cool character to have used a little more.
Yeah.
It's definitely mishandled.
But then
a little.
again, they've only grown like a year more since that happened. So Konohamaru would be like 9 years old and he'd be useless still.
I guess that's true.
Actually, if you think about it, though, he's like a real prodigy.
Because he
got
was
the Rinnegan before
the
even
Rasengan.
Yeah, or not the Rinnegan, the Rasengan.
The Rinnegan?
The Rinnegan. Dude, what if Konohamaru got the Rinnegan? Dude?
The next villain.
Oh my god. Oh,
And
dude, he
he's
left.
related to-
What if he betrayed Konohamaru? And that's what the movie's about, is like kill Konohamaru. And like Naruto wears
They
the
have to
scar-
call Sasuke.
Yeah.
Not to
You
have,
need
like,
a real asshole.
he has like a
Track this
single like
asshole.
cell phone in like a hidden room somewhere, and that cell phone only has one number on it, and it's Sasuke. It's
Oh
like,
my
yo,
God.
dude, I need some help. Konohamaru's
Get,
out of
get
control,
the
man.
hotline. Get the hotline. It's just like this one.
And that's what I
hotline.
mean. Like a fun little like just other adventure with the story resolved would have been cool with me.
You know what though? One part about this chapter that I thought was cool is like, this time, the Senju side has the Nine Tails, and the Uchiha side
Yeah,
doesn't.
like switched, yeah.
To go, because remember last time I talked about how like they should be standing on the other statue now. Like, I don't know. It's a cool little switcheroo. All right, guys, we'll move on to One Piece chapter 763, Declaration of Humanity. And all right, I just want to say that Bleach upped the stakes this week with an awesome chapter, because when I read these updates, I always read Bleach, Naruto, One Piece, like just like we do the order of the podcast. Like, and Bleach, like, really, came out swinging this week. I was like, oh shit, that was a good ass chapter. And then
Raise the bar.
Naruto was, it wasn't disappointing, but it wasn't special.
It
I
was
like,
disappointing.
dude.
It was disappointing.
All right.
Come on.
all right, maybe for you it was. I thought it was all right. Whatever.
Naruto?
Yeah.
It was alright. It was exactly what I thought it'd be.
And then One Piece though was freaking crazy.
Dude. Dude. It's like next tier developments. Like they usually have solid developments, but it was like
Dude,
next
he
tier.
upped his development game, dude.
Like, it's like really good when you finish reading it and like you want to like post a comment where like literally all it is just all caps, holy shit. You know,
Yeah,
like that's your sort of internal reaction. That's great,
Like,
So-
how
so,
does he just keep the development going so hard?
Dude, he does
dude?
this shit in his sleep, man. He doesn't need to try.
I think he doesn't sleep. I think that's the point. I think he's just constantly thinking about this stuff, man. Just doesn't.
I think
stop, man.
I think he's drafted out like everything, like every little piece of his mythology pre like this point. So he just needs to like get to those points with fun stuff. I think
Like,
he does this shit in
time
his
together.
sleep.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he has like a secret hidden lair somewhere, and like a giant ass, like all the walls covered with all the mythology
Oh,
that
man.
he's done. And
Yeah,
he's
all the like
"Alright."
threads are tied together, like so he won't fuck up ever.
Yeah.
So I feel like like the okay, so the biggest development obviously being that Law is a D. Like, I mean, I'm sure he's thought of it somewhere down the line for a while now, but I still think that on a macro level, I think it was probably something he threw in at a sort of like at a whim, because I think I talked about this to you, maybe not in a podcast, but maybe just in our general discussions we used to have about One Piece. But I was reading an SBS, and like someone was asking Oda about the.
First of all, what's that? What's an SBS?
So an SBS is so after like some of the manga volumes, like in Japan, they have an SBS where it's like people can send in questions, and Oda will take time to answer some questions, and like some of the questions will be serious and some of them will be just like silly. And one of the
your dick?
huh? What?
How big's your dick?
Yeah, just cock on the mind all the time. Okay. So like one of the questions was like, hey, like I'm paraphrasing because I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was somewhere along the lines of like, oh, I really like this certain supernova, like like at what point did you were these guys created, and when did you want to do? And Oda was like, oh, you know what? Like I literally just made them. Like they weren't even gonna be part of the story, and I forget what I think one of his editors was like telling him like, oh yeah, you need like this like certain thing here, and he was like, okay, and so he fucking created like all those supernovas just on a whim like that. Like he wasn't initially gonna even have them, and I remember that, and I remember reading that and just thinking that's fucking insane. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Because, like, okay, so granted, I could see that some of them were kind of, like, on a whim created. But, like, Usa's Kid and, like, Law were, like, pretty, like, you know, developed, I thought, as just, like, characters. Like, without even having development of character. There's, like, you could tell there's sort of something there about
Is
who they
Kid the
were.
one that does like the magnets and
Yeah,
stuff?
he's Magneto, yeah.
Yeah, at the time I felt like it was a logical sort of like result of the pirate age. Like, of course there would be other people who traveled different routes. Like Luffy isn't the only great pirate. Like
Yeah.
I thought, like of course, like this must have been planned. But yeah, it's pretty crazy. That
There's four
he did it
big
on
ass
the way.
oceans that these people come from, and Luffy was
Yeah,
the
it's not-
weakest
yeah.
one.
Yeah.
So like,
You know, it totally makes sense, and he fucking made it work on a whim. That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying is, like, so insane. And I remember just, like, reading it and just, like, being in awe, like, how do you create 10 characters just out of, and make them work synergistically in this huge universe you've already made, you know? So, like, I don't know, like, with Oda, I've just kind of learned to think that, you know what, even some of the greatest, I mean, I think certain things, obviously, he had in mind since, like, the start, you know what I mean? But, like, yeah, there's some really, really sort of great sort of developments that kind of feel like they must have been thought out for it to work out so well. But it's like with Oda, I just feel like you never know, you know? And this like D sort of thing, it really kind of, it works so well. Like exactly like the Supernova thing. It like it works, but on some end, I can kind of see that maybe it wasn't necessary to the story, and he just kind of decided, you know what? What if he was a D? And then he just kind of made it, you know, thematically work out so well.
I just want to say that everyone that has the will of D so far has black hair. Totally random.
Does Garp have black hair?
He did when he was young.
When he was young.
What about Jaguar?
Who's
Saul.
Jaguar?
He was like the vice
Saul.
admiral who he sacrificed himself to save Robin during the Buster Call. When
I
he was a kid.
have a little theory that I thought of about the D, but we can talk about it later.
That you love it?
Yeah,
I forgot
that it's
what
luscious.
Let me see. One Piece.
I'm sure this theory's probably been
Vice
thought of already, but it's
Admirals.
just something that I don't really read up on like theories about One Piece, but I thought of this. I'll share it with you
I
guys.
think
later.
everyone thinks that they're the descendants of the Lost Kingdom. That's like the most popular one. Saul
the
has they're descendants of the Lost Kingdom. Saul has like red hair.
Damn.
Yeah,
He doesn't even look like a human.
Yeah,
Was he a giant?
I think he was one of those hybrid giants. Yeah, he wasn't like a full one, but he was pretty huge. Yeah, just him with Robin.
Jaguar D. Saul. How do you... I don't even remember that character.
I remember. I can't forget him, man.
I remember specifically because it was like his introduction was Jaguar D Saul, and I was like, oh snaps D.
Dude, I remember it
Yeah.
because that flashback of Robin like almost brought me to tears.
Yeah, it was
when I
so,
read it.
and yeah, also obviously like the emotional, just like it was very sad for sure.
Alright, to move along here. So it starts off with, like, the Don Quixote family being, like, publicly...
Crucified
Yeah, crucified.
by
basically.
strings, no less.
Yeah.
They look like they're tied up.
And, like, all these people, like... Dude, this was, like, an emotional opening to the story
It was
here.
a dark fucking opening, man.
Like, all
super
these
dark.
people, like, talking about, like, oh, like, my sons, they were killed. My slave daughter was raped and killed herself. They took my eyes out for sport. My wife was burned
Yeah,
alive.
dude.
Like, holy shit. Like, the country's starving because we have to pay tax to you. Like, and, like,
My wife was burnt alive. Like,
Yeah.
Jesus. For sure.
and they're, like, hanging about to die. And he's, like, totally having this nightmare of that time. He wakes up.
What's weird, Don Quixote has like in that dream he has his eyes are covered, so I wonder if his eyes got like burned out or something. Oh no, it's not. That's impossible. What am I saying?
Yeah, he has the sunglasses.
In the dream?
Yeah, this is retarded actually. Now that I think about it, because his eyes are covered by the cloth,
Yeah.
but then he's also wearing sunglasses.
Yeah. What up with that?
So he's wearing sunglasses, and they covered his sunglasses with the cloth.
He's not wearing sunglasses.
Yeah,
is he?
right here. See, sunglasses. The reflection of the flames are in his sunglasses.
But then when he's hanging, he has
The cloth
cloth.
over it. Yeah, doesn't make any sense.
Discrepancy.
Inconsistency.
And this nightmare is real for him, as it takes him forever to actually like answer the phone. He wakes up,
He's sweating,
chugs,
man.
he chugs like
Dude,
some
that's
alcohol.
a real fucking nightmare for sure.
And then it continues with this flashback. Saint Holming. His father's name was Don Quixote Holming. Had a wife. And he was like, oh, like, I'm a human, I've always been. And then, like, the other Tenryubito can't believe that, like, they're the same as, like, the other humans. The whole, like, I'm better than you complex is insane. And, like, how he's, like, humble and stuff, but his son is just totally into the Tenryubito life. He's like, where are the slaves? Let's go buy some slaves. And there's this something interesting here. So like they leave there, they go to some other place. It says, now then we shall be taking your Tenryubito identification chip.
Yeah.
So it's like a
proof.
yeah,
Proof
like,
ID, yeah.
and I wonder if like Law or like Doflamingo has one now in like current time. Like,
I don't think so, because I think the whole point is they disallowed him from re-entering, right?
yeah, but he's still like, but they. You remember the whole thing they were talking about? How he was like, oh, like,
I got something up my sleeve against them.
Yeah. And they have to work with me because they have no choice. Like,
who's Rosi?
I think it's supposed to be his brother.
That's Corazon.
Yeah, Corazon, yeah.
I just looked up that name, Rocinante, and that's actually the name of Don Quixote's horse in the story Don Quixote. So, like, he was the second sort of main character of that story, so Oda does these nice little, I guess, allusions.
Dracula Mihawk was an actual pirate. I looked that
Really?
up. I looked that up a long ass time ago.
Crazy.
There was a pirate actually named Dracula Mihawk.
He was a
I
vampire
highly doubt
pirate,
it.
dude.
I did.
He was a vampire
Dude, I looked
pirate.
that shit up a long ass time ago, and I was like, what?
There was a real pirate named Edward Teach.
Yeah,
but-
Edward Teach. Yeah, and even Whitebeard.
Edward Newgate.
Newgate, yeah.
Yeah,
Edward
Newgate was an actual
also.
pirate.
Yeah.
No,
And it was
Edward
Marshall
Teach was the
Teach.
pirate.
Edward Teach was a pirate, but Edward Newgate was also a pirate too.
Edward Newgate, I don't think existed.
Whitebeard,
But
Edward
anyway.
Newgate? I'm pretty sure.
I think it's a combination of both those people, Blackbeard and Whitebeard, Edward, and Teach. Whereas the actual Blackbeard.
Yeah, Edward Teach was the actual Blackbeard, I know, yeah.
And then
Anyway, so yeah, Rocinante, that's Corazon.
So this flashback ends with them catching Law after he stabbed Corazon. And then what's his face? Law comes back in expecting to be like murdered for that shit, but he's like, oh, now you're gonna be like an official member of the Don Quixote family. And he even goes along to say like, my specialty is like, oh, he's like, oh, like I only have 3 years of life, and he's like, my specialty is the black market business. Among other things, I deal in devil fruits. And then he says like there's like probably a devil fruit out there that'll like reverse the effect of like, what's it called, the amber lead poisoning.
Yeah.
And what's his face? Corazon does not rat Law out, which I still don't understand why that happened. Why he didn't just rat him out. Because he totally could have. He fucking hates kids and stuff.
Well, yeah, but I mean, a lot of it is kind of still mysterious, though. We don't really know what he's about. And obviously the end of the chapter really kind of makes that obvious. We don't understand him at all, really. I mean, the guy can talk, and supposedly he pretends like he's mute.
Yeah.
You know, like a lot of his intention is still kind of up for grabs right now. We're not really sure why he does any of the things he does.
And we finally get a real look at his face at the end of the chapter, too. And, like, it's cool because, like, as he's going along with these, like, their missions they go on as their Don Quixote family, like, it shows them each, like, okay, it shows, like, Corazon spitting out his drink and tripping and eating shit in basically every panel. But it also shows them, like, going through their transformations to become their modern crew. Like when it first showed Treble, when it first introduced the Don Quixote pirates, it, like, I don't know if that was last chapter or 2 chapters ago, but Treble was not like drooling snot and stuff everywhere, and here he is shown doing that, showing that like throughout this like interaction and stuff is when he like gets the snot fruit, and then it shows going along like they're hunting some wanted dude, and Baby Five has like a pistol foot thing that she didn't have before. And then it shows like once that dude they're hunting is beaten, he has a bunch of like lines on him, like cuts, and that's totally like the Don Quixote like string slash move thing that he does. Law's wearing a shirt that says "weep," kind of like sad or whatever, and it shows Law like learning how to fight and stuff, studying like one of the books says like grand tactics. One of them says tactical point, like so he's basically learning how to be like an effective fighter. He learns how to shoot guns from Gladius. He gets his ass beat by Lao Ji. He learns how to sword fight. He gets loved from that strange woman.
The art woman?
Yeah, the art woman. So like it totally shows him like becoming a badass slowly, but like the main like, which I thought like before I got to like the reveal of the chapter, I thought that was like all sick as hell. But like the main thing is like, oh, like you got to tell us your real name before I tell on you to rat on you to Dofi. It says Trafalgar D. Water Law. I'm actually not supposed to tell people about it, and he doesn't even know like why he doesn't need to. He's not supposed to tell people about it, but he knows like I shouldn't be telling people. It says D is a secret name and water is taboo. The family has over generations. It ain't even cool. And then once like they tell Corazon about it, or Corazon overhears it, he like grabs Law and walks away. And is like, oh, well, was what you said back there true? And he's like, who's talking? Corazon's talking. He's got some insane face paint job. Totally looks like the Joker. Oh, you of all people must not be anywhere near Doflamingo. Say, what the freak? You can talk? And it's because of the name of D.
You do these revelations so much justice. Oh, what the heck?
I'm just trying to get through this, bro.
It's crazy, man. The last panel is like shadows all over his face. He's like, listen, Law.
Like you gotta run away right now.
You got
like,
GTFO right now, man.
Yeah.
And he's like, what? You
if
can
D is
talk.
really your name,
Can't
you have
even
to
get
leave
over-
immediately.
Yeah, pretty crazy, man. I mean, definitely.
And you know, like that like helps me to better understand, or what I believe is the reason that he killed Corazon.
You mean Duffy? Probably because he ends up protecting him. I mean, I think that was kind of predictable already, sort of, just by the implications of the way they talk about the people.
But
you know,
like,
it's like,
because
I mean, like Law would say, listen, like, you know, like I'm doing this for Corazon or Corazon-san, who, you know, sacrificed himself for me. You know, like the sort of like it's like the implications were definitely there.
But prior, there was no like actual reason why Corazon would sacrifice himself.
Mm-hmm.
That's why, like, now it's like, oh shit, it's because he's a
but
D.
I mean, no, I don't think so. It could have just simply been a matter of just like moral disagreements, you know. Yeah, I mean, I could still see this trajectory happening without him being a D. I think the D thing works. You know, it works thematically with the idea that Law eventually separates, but it's kind of like more about. It's really more about Doflamingo and Corazon and their differences of opinion. Obviously, Corazon has a huge difference of opinion from what Dofi sees the world as. And he can't find it in himself to sort of betray his only remaining family member, so he keeps quiet, right? He doesn't talk. Even though he disagrees with the way Dofi sees the world, he's going to be supportive of him anyway. And I mean, you could kind of make it where it's this thing where there's this kid who's just seen the absolute trash of the world, Law, right? And like he sees the sort of bad influence and just like how this guy has gone down so south already so early in his life, and with my brother manipulating him, he's just gonna even go down further. And it's like him through his actions, he sort of redeems the guy, and Dofi doesn't like that. And then there's this sort of like, I mean, in the previous podcast, we were already kind of like getting to this idea. I think so. I mean, all the sort of setup material is there. I think it could have definitely been possible without it. I just think it works really great with it. You know.
I think that was kind of like the most predictable thing.
Yeah.
But like actually for the past couple podcasts, we were actually going off on speculations like, oh, maybe he does this, maybe he sacrifices himself with the fruit to like save Law's life.
Right, and that still all comes down to the sort of the moral dilemma between the characters and their sort of values and their beliefs. And that's the reason why he would do any of these other things we speculated. The speculations were all had to do with this idea of why does Corazon defend Law and sacrifice his own life for this kid.
Yeah, but we didn't know why at all. I still don't know
That's
why.
what I'm saying. Like, I feel like it was.
I mean,
all
now we
just
know why. We
speculation.
didn't, but now we do.
That's what I'm saying. Like, there was like, I didn't really see a reason for Corazon to care for Law, and I didn't really see a reason for like Doflamingo to want to kill Corazon.
Yeah, that's kind of sad though. I mean, I don't think that's what this is about. I mean, obviously him being a D is a motivator, but why does Corazon, I mean, to say that Corazon doesn't care about this kid and only cares about him if he is a D, I think is sending a sort of wrong moral message. I don't think that's what the point of this sort of flashback in these character dynamics in this history is about. It's really more about like a sort of like difference in opinion and ideology about what is okay. How is it okay to treat certain people? You know what I mean? Like, is it okay to be like, to think that you are like an elite class that gets to treat people like absolute filth all the time? And this kid takes on the ideology of Corazon as a kid takes on the ideologies of his father, you know, completely in contrast to the way Dofi lives his life. I think that's what this is really more about. And it's about him trying, and obviously Law being
it's connected.
Yeah, Law
We're
being
not saying
a
it's
D is
not.
exactly, you're saying I don't understand why he would, and I think I'm saying, well, I mean, the D thing is a great motivator, sure, but why he's doing it is because he wants to protect whatever sort of like type of people there are that have that room to be salvaged already. I don't think he thinks that Dofi can be salvaged anymore. I think he understands otherwise he would be constantly talking to Dofi about changing his
Well,
ways.
he didn't think. How would he have known that Law could be salvaged? Because he knows that Law is going to die in 3 years anyway. Because everyone knows that. Like, Law's been saying that ever since he got to that crew.
Well, I mean, they were talking about how there's devil fruits and the potential to save him. I mean, just because he's gonna die to you doesn't necessarily mean that. I mean, let's look at it this way, like, because I just kind of thought of it right now, but Corazon is really sort of aligned sort of with Itachi, this character who has a very moral sort of belief system, but keeps it under wraps for the sake of some sort of bigger issue that's going on right now. For him, it's that he doesn't want to step out of line with his brother because he loves his brother, and he knows that if he tried to change, he knows that he can't change Dofi's mind. And he knows that if he tries to, then there's going to be a separation, and he's going to be separated from the one person left in his own family. But when it comes down to, like, trying to, I don't know, because, I mean, he heard about Law, and in the flashbacks, he saw that Law explains to them that he was a kid with lots of hopes. You know what I mean? And so I think he, on some level, feels like there's room to help this person.
I think we're led more to believe that. I think what Justin's getting at is like, before we were supposed to believe that Corazon develops like a strong personal relationship with Law,
Yeah.
but we haven't seen any of that up until this point.
Yeah.
What really gets him to like care, I don't know if he cares necessarily, but what's going to get him in trouble is this. Like, he hears about this new revelation, so now he's like, all right, Law, you got to get the fuck out of here. Like, and that does tie into what you're saying. It ties into his beliefs where, like, I can't abide by, like, my brother killing people just because of a name or just because they're something that he's not.
Right.
So that's why he's helping. Not necessarily.
When you look at the situation, though, I mean, just the fact that he, just that he would even step out of bounds and tell this kid to run away because he is a D already suggests on some level that he has compassion for this kid. Because why is he even bothering to do it? Why does he?
Because
care?
he's a D. That was just revealed.
No,
and like
I think he does have some. You're right. Some compassion.
You're missing the point. Why does Corazon, who's not a D, have empathy and sympathy for a kid who is a D? Why does he even bother telling him to leave? Why should he even care? That's what we're getting. That's what this is actually about. It's about this guy believing in what the D represents, and it's a difference of opinion from his brother. That's what this is about. It's not. It's the D thing works as a motivator, but it's like to say that that he would only care for this kid because he is a D is, I think, a wrong way of looking at this interaction. That's not what this whole backstory is about.
Dude, I think that if Law wasn't a D, he would never have revealed that he could talk, and he would never even have cared for Law. I think that would have just been another person on the crew.
I think Oda would have eventually found a way to get there anyway. That's the whole purpose of this backstory, and that's the whole thing that drives Law to fight against Doflamingo. He's the version of Corazon that is willing to stand up against this ideology. He kind of it goes back to the whole theme of One Piece in general, of inheriting the fire of whatever essence the person before you there was, like with Ace and Luffy, and now with him, he couldn't fight his brother, and so now he passes that torch down to Law, and Law's the one who's going to see that through. I
think he would have found a way to get Corazon to sympathize with Law, but he chose this way to do it.
Right.
I mean, we didn't see if he decided to go the other way, like, oh, Doflamingo mistreats Law all the time, he treats Law like his bitch, but actually Doflamingo is very kind to Law, and he like welcomed him with open arms into this crew. Gave him all the education and training he needs. So I think the D, we know, like for a fact, it's indisputable that Corazon has different moral beliefs. And I think Corazon actually probably does know everything that Doflamingo knows. He probably knows everything about the history of D and like all this stuff.
Yeah. The secret that Doflamingo knew that has like his trump card over the Tenryubito.
Yeah. So I think it's plausible that maybe Corazon might have never given a fuck about Law if he didn't hear this information. But it's also plausible that maybe Corazon just has a soft spot for terminal kids. I don't know. But I think the D thing ties in really nicely. It's really good.
The only piece of evidence that I would have for like Corazon actually caring about Law, other than the fact that he's a D, is that he didn't rat him out when he got stabbed. That's the only piece of evidence that there was. But, like, I don't know. I feel like that's...
actually, you're right. I did forget about that. That was kind of a big deal. But maybe... Yeah, why would he do that, though?
Well, like, I mean...
He couldn't have
why do you think he did that?
Be a D or anything.
Yeah, it's not like he suspected that.
Yeah, it's...
Because even when...
Point, man. It's like, that's not...
We're not getting your point.
No, because look at it
of what this flashback and what it's supposed to create for this character in the arc of the story is for.
I understand everything.
I think you do because you've been kind of elaborating on it. But I mean, you have to question why he even cares in the first place. That's what it really comes down to.
That's what I'm doing. Why did he not say Law stabbed him?
Or not even more. That's another thing that reinforces the argument that I'm making. But also, like, why would he even care about the fact that Law is a D? Right? Like, that's like
because he believes something different.
Right. That's what.
That's what I said. That's what I've been saying. Yeah, no, I told you that.
I'm not disagreeing with you, man. I'm just. I think we're just kind of like
we're not. I'm disagreeing with you
mainly.
We're not disagreeing with you. You're disagreeing with us. That's all that's happening right now. You're like creating this like discussion that like we weren't even like having. Like I agree that like there is a difference in opinion here, and obviously because I'm not an idiot that like he says like like Doflamingo like it's something like how I read it is that like he hates the name of D in some way, that like Law is in danger by being here.
Doflamingo, clearly hates it.
or like maybe wants to exploit the name of D in a certain way that like law or the world is in danger. That Doflamingo has someone that's like a child that's like a D that he can just like mold to whatever he wants to mold to, right? So yeah, I see that, but what I'm saying is he wouldn't have given a shit about law had it not been for the D name.
Yeah, that's the main thing I think I'm disagreeing on point with, is that you're missing the point of the character if you think that the only reason he would even care for a kid is whether or not he has the D name. Because the fact that he would want to protect the D name already shows on some level his moral beliefs about what people deserve. And so judging off that personal value belief system, it's like, even though he's been pretending like he doesn't give a shit about kids and that he would kick them, on a lot of levels he probably does. He just doesn't know how to express it. Is what I'm saying. And so this whole backstory could still happen without Law being a D, because that's not entirely what it hinges on. It hinges on the belief systems of the characters. I think that's the sort of thing that
But he's risking a lot, like, and he would not have done that, like,
why
because nobody else knows that he can speak.
Mm-hmm.
Like, no one even suspects that he can speak. They just like talk shit on him that he's like clumsy and stuff. And like, I don't know if this is like me reading into it a little, but when he like grabs Law and walks away, he does it like without tripping or anything. Mm-hmm. So like the whole like him being clumsy and like lighting himself on fire could all be part of that same facade that he's putting up. Like,
yeah. It probably is.
And like
It definitely is risking a lot, mainly because Law just told to the other two kids, and they know. So they could say, if Law suddenly booked it, they'd be like, and Doflamingo asked them, where'd he go? They'd be like, oh, well, fucking Corazon just grabbed him and was talking to him for a second, and we heard this information that Law's name, and then, yeah, so Corazon is clearly
he's risking a lot
himself
on the line here. So like,
but
also... Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
All right.
No, you go ahead.
I feel like he wouldn't have done that if he had no idea that like Law was a D, is what I'm saying. Like, I feel like if like Law wasn't a D, or like it never came up, like I feel like Corazon would just be like, all right, this is just another kid that is gonna be on the crew, whatever. Because by that logic, he could have done the same for Baby Five or that little like horned dude child thing they had. Like he could have done it for any of them, but like he did it for Law because he was like, oh, Law is
either of those characters seem like they're the type of people who would have a whole lot of empathy for other people, though?
Empathy for other people?
Yeah, Baby Five and Buffalo. Do they seem like the type of characters? I mean,
how much do we know about Baby Five and Buffalo?
Yeah, so I was about to say that on some level it's unfair. There's a bias because we're not focusing them on them as major characters. But that's the point of a story in general. Is that you create. The whole story is biased anyway because we selectively show, when we're writing, who it is we're supposed to care about. But with Law, it's really obvious that there's a lot of room for him. I mean, he's really, really wounded, like as a person, as a human being, has been dealt massive amounts of just suffering, and that's why he is the way he is. But I mean, he wasn't a bad seed like Dofi. All this stuff happened, and as a result, this is what became of him. So I mean, I disagree. I think that obviously this works. The whole D thing works greatly as like upping the stakes and sort of quickening the pace and the reasoning for why any of this happens. But I think what it still comes down to is, as long as Corazon felt on some level that Doflamingo was corrupting this guy even further, then somewhere down the line, because the story hinges upon it, he makes a sort of moral stance about what is okay and not okay to do for this kid, who is completely victimless from, or shouldn't be victimized by Dofi's corruption.
I don't know, man. I feel like when he came to the crew, he was already pretty like bent on like being like an evil dude after what he had seen.
Yeah, because of what had happened to him. But he's not a bad seed. There's room for him to grow as a character and as a person, and to turn that around. And obviously that's what we see in the actual One Piece universe.
Oh, we see that. Would Corazon have seen that?
Why? Well, why wouldn't he? I mean, he has an insight that goes beyond what Dofi is able to see through people. You have to consider that Corazon was born in the same situation as Doflamingo, as he was a celestial dragon, and still somehow went through the exact same thing and still ended up being this way, and not the way Dofi did. And that's like what you have to consider. I think. Wait,
I think Doflamingo can see those things also, but his main problem is like whatever problem he has with D, that's Dofi's problem, and he is unwavering from that. But I think Doflamingo had the same sort of like, oh, let's take this kid in and see if we can like use him and maybe redeem him a little bit because he's had some shit done to him.
Yeah, because he straight up said that like, I want to train you to be my right hand man. Like Doflamingo straight up said that to Law. So
yeah, it's like it's different stances and perspectives on how you take care of someone for sure, but they're very different. The way Doflamingo sees taking care of someone and the way Corazon sees taking care of someone. I mean, with Corazon, obviously, it's more. I think his character is a lot more about a sort of like what we're gonna see is an emotional healing. It's just trying to redeem the soul of Law, and then with Doflamingo, it's more about sort of circumstantial, which I mean totally fits in with who he is as a character. This Doflamingo being this guy who got ousted and is told that he's not good enough to be, the sort of thing he feels he deserves and has the right to. And so, how does he compensate for that? He surrounds himself with people and demands that he be the leader of them completely undeniably. It's like the way it just makes sense with the way they go about as people.
Well, before I had really thought about it, and before I had finished reading the chapter, I had the point that like probably getting beat all the time and like being chased and eating like trash off the streets and stuff is probably what made Corazon like a clumsy mute fool.
He's got like brain damage.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Maybe he's just like, has like some permanent damage to him. But
he looks pretty intellectual here, though.
Yeah,
like,
no, it's totally like some shit he's putting up. Because like, he's Doflamingo's brother, so he has to be like some sort of strong and tough too for like Doflamingo to have survived all that and for him to have survived all that. So like, he's probably not weak where like, oh, I got beat by random thugs on the street and now I'm a mute with bad balance.
He definitely uses it as like the justification to act like a mute. Like I'm sure Doflamingo understands like, yeah, that was fucked up, so maybe this is why my brother's a little special.
Yeah,
but yeah, clearly he's not.
Doflamingo probably has no idea that Corazon can speak.
Yeah.
And like this is probably like I think that like Corazon has been planning like a coup, if you will, and he's gonna kill Doflamingo. Like that's his plan, like before Doflamingo gets out of hand. Like, but like he's been waiting too long, and having Law come by into the crew and be accepted by Doflamingo that much to be part of this crew, and then to find out that Law is like a D, is probably like, all right, like if I'm gonna do this, I have to do it now. Like now is my time. I have to act. I have to like overthrow my brother somehow. Like I think like this is all like pushing towards that sort of thing, and he eventually fails to overthrow Doflamingo. Doflamingo kills him, and then that's where we leave Law like to start his own life to come after Doflamingo like he does. That's my prediction of there.
What if
I could actually see Corazon never have like been planning a coup.
Yeah.
I could see him being content to live his life like in his brother's shadow forever, but just this thing is kind of what's for some reason, he thinks he has to protect Law, so but I think he's cool with just being like in his brother's crew forever.
I think
I think he cares about his brother.
He definitely does. I don't think that I personally don't think that he would create a coup. Like I think but I also don't think that he would be content living this sort of life either. I think for him it's just a matter of this is all I have. Like Doflamingo is the only family I have left, and I love him, and he thinks he loves me, but really if like he knew who I really was, then he probably we'd have a problem. And so I had to just pretend to be this thing that I'm not, so that I can just be with him still. And with
he could always lie.
He is lying. That's what he is.
I think him pretending to be a mute and like pretending to be like clumsy like that is like him like, this is like an image that they're all gonna take me for. So when I come out as my real self, they won't be expecting me, and like I'll have that surprise advantage. Like,
I mean, it does lend itself to that like outcome for sure.
But yeah, I don't think that was the intention or the motive though.
I feel like that could very well be his motive. Like
It could. Yeah. Me personally, I think I could see him living like this forever and being fine with it.
But why would he act like that then? He could just totally be his normal self and be like, "Hey, Doflamingo, I totally agree that these are assholes, and I totally agree that we should just kill those people."
Because maybe what it does is by muting himself and by making him seem incompetent, nothing's ever forced upon him. Nothing is ever thrust upon him to do something that he doesn't want to do, because he can play this facade of being unable to do certain things. And so, yeah, I mean, because obviously if they have differing opinions about what's okay, then Dofi's not going to put too much on him, you know? But to refute one of the points you were saying though, John, is like I don't think that he would be comfortable doing this for the rest of his life. I just think that for him, he doesn't see a whole lot of options. And with this development, it's really raised the bar. It's like it's the stakes to in law is the sort of the manifestation of his belief system, and the sort of like it really ups the ante, and that's why he needs to get this kid out. Because also, I mean, I think like I was arguing earlier, I think he would care for law, but the fact that he is a D now ups the threat of his own life to an extreme, and so he tells him, okay, you need to leave, immediately. I forget what the main sort of thing we were kind of debating here was.
I guess like to what we were speculating on earlier, it's like clearly yes, Corazon has some compassion, but I wonder if that would have been. I wonder if he would have done anything to like save Law's life because he's terminal anyway. Like, would he have let Law die knowing that like I cared about you, but sorry, I couldn't do anything else for you.
Yeah, because and that makes sense for what he's doing right now, which is being completely unable to speak out for what he believes in.
But if he never found this information,
Law would have just that's what I'm saying is like it makes sense because like this is what he is right now, a person who's mute, unable to do anything for the kinds of things he believes in. But
it's not because he's mute; it's because Law's terminally ill.
Well, wait, what do you mean? What? Because what?
Well, the fact that he can't save Law's life, even if he was not a mute. That's what I'm saying.
No, so I know. Like, I'm saying
he would have lived like he would have lived.
That's representational of who he is as a person. Someone who's unable to do anything.
Oh, so it's like a symbolic.
Yes,
the muteness is symbolic.
And the terminal illness, it wouldn't have happened anyway because that's not what happens in the story. And somewhere down the line, I mean, it doesn't even have to be a matter of D. It's like once they have a bond of over like a decade of being together and they get to know each other on some level and sort of inner debate that existed that's probably going to be created inside Law is something Corazon's going to be able to see. I would make the argument that something could be written there still because the foundations are all there. But that's kind of like neither here nor there.
Well, we're just talking about things that like are what happened, and now we know what happened, so we don't need to debate those.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, I mean, no, it's still important to talk about the sort of like what's being set up here in terms of story, though.
I feel like I understand what John's trying to say, and I feel like you're like talking around what he's trying to say. I think John's trying to say that like had Corazon not have found out that Law was like of the D will or of the D family or bloodline, whatever that is, like I feel like he already accepted that Law was going to die at a young age because of the disease.
But he wouldn't have anyway, because somewhere down the line he would have gotten the devil fruit and he would have been... unless Corazon's the one who does it.
Yeah, no,
which
exactly.
Would make sense because of the sort of the immediacy of the event that sets everything forward.
I'm going on this based on the fact that like the reason that Law is alive today and doing what he's doing is because Corazon found out that he's a D and did something to intervene somewhere to make sure that Law survives Doflamingo. And I feel like if maybe like Law could have, or Corazon could have cared for Law a little, like, oh, like this is a kid that's been through some shit just like I have, and I don't want him to end up like my brother, or I'd rather him end up like having the beliefs that I have, that like we could all be saved and like maybe he can have a better life, you know? But that's not like the motivation to like give up his like facade that he's been holding for like probably a long ass time now, as well as like give up his like how comfortable he is at where he's at with the little options he has. You know, like because like what you're saying is that like he's not comfortable with what he's at, but that's the only thing. That's the only life he knows because that's the only life he can have.
Or
And
that's the way he feels. That's the way the character feels right now.
Yeah. Because like that's the only life he could possibly have. Like that's what he thought at the time, so he was okay with it. So like, I think like for him to give up, the fact that he accepted that that's the only life that he can have, for him to give up,
it takes things like it takes more of an ante up.
Yeah.
And so I was just saying that it doesn't hinge upon. I mean, this is what is the motivator for sure, but it doesn't. The writing of this whole thing and the way this whole thing is set up, it doesn't hinge upon that. It can be
right. It's not random
anything.
basically.
Yeah, like it's like it can as long as I mean obviously not anything, but like it doesn't have to be the D thing. It could have been something else down the line, is what I'm saying. To say that he wouldn't care is like I think, but I mean. I see what you guys are saying though. Because of the circumstances in particular, it's like I could definitely see that maybe he did die. But that's only given that he would have died anyway, which isn't the circumstance. Regardless of whether or not he was a D or not, he wasn't going to die.
And for the record, I was totally wrong last time when I predicted that Law maybe didn't have the disease. He definitely has it. He's got like those marks creeping
spots,
up his face.
yeah.
So that was wrong speculation there. Too bad. But this is a great revelation anyway, so... Mm-hmm. So my last, I guess, the final thing we should talk about is why does Doflamingo hate the D? Why do you think he hates it?
I think it's kind of a mystery.
Why is it death sentence worthy?
To what extent do you think these guys know about the history of the true history? Because they're
I think Doflamingo knows it.
Do you think he knows the whole thing though? Because maybe now he does. But I'm not
probably
sure.
knows some version of it.
He knows some version of it because he was a kid, right? So I mean, I was gonna speculate on this earlier, but I think that Corazon actually knows more than Doflamingo does because I think his dad.
I think they know equal.
Well, okay, so I think this
just
is
different perspectives.
This is just speculation, but I think the reason why Corazon knows more than Dofi is because I think his dad saw in Corazon someone who understood what he was trying to live for, and so he went to Corazon and tried to explain to him the sort of like the history of some sort of a little bit more information about the history of the world, and your brother is going to need help along down the lines to realize what it is I was trying to do, and I need you to try to explain that to him and help him live, and so I don't know, I mean, but yeah, I definitely think Dofi obviously knows the information on some level, because otherwise he wouldn't want to kill the D, right?
Yeah.
So
also I think like maybe Doflamingo knew like some information about it through his dad and being a Tenryubito. I feel like the Tenryubito know a lot about the history. Like, but then I feel like Doflamingo also amassed more information from being in the black market trade, because he's been in the black market trade for what seems like a long ass time now. So, he's probably gonna run into someone that knows something about like the hidden dark parts of their history. Like, so maybe like. Up till this point, like Doflamingo knew a certain amount of like the Will of D and stuff, and
he probably knows like a very antagonized version.
Yeah,
you know, like not the truth. He probably heard like the sort of
he
like
knows he knows the Tenryubito's perspective.
The propaganda version of it, which is like
he's like an embodiment of the Tenryubito as a strong pirate. Like because all the other Tenryubito were like these weak ass dudes, but he's like a strong ass pirate. And he is like an embodiment of the Tenryubito. Like he was like talking about slaves and like killing people when he was like 5 years old. Like
he's as heartless as a Tenryubito for sure. And so that he carries that mindset. But okay, so I asked earlier like, what do we think the Will of D is? And I had an idea like, well, basically you told me earlier the popular theory is that they're descended from
the Lost Kingdom.
The Lost Kingdom, yeah. Which I guess we don't know much about it other than it was probably destroyed and swept under the rug, right?
Yeah, by the Tenryubito, yeah.
Okay. I was thinking, why would Law care so much about the people of the Lost Kingdom? Like, if he knew about the history, I wonder why he would want to kill someone from that Lost Kingdom.
You mean
like if they like what did their actions have to do with him? Why does he want to kill them?
Wait, who's?
I think he meant to say Doflamingo.
I think he meant to say. Yeah,
Oh, what did I say?
I think he
You
said
said
law.
law.
Yeah.
But okay, I think to answer that question, the Tenryubito overcame the family of the bloodline of D, and that put them in their position of power, right? So, Doflamingo.
Do you think it's an actual bloodline? I think it's like a sort of like a
title?
maybe
a
like
clan
a
or something
like a
that?
clan, yeah, like a clan.
What?
Maybe blood from a clan, but not like one singular bloodline.
But like what I was trying to say is, I think that like regardless of bloodline or clan, we have no idea. I have no idea.
Yeah, we don't know. Yeah.
But I think that they overcame the clan of D, and then the only ones that can like throw the Tenryubito completely off their throne is the clan of D again. So for someone who's already lost his title of Tenryubito and gone through a hell because of it, the thought of like losing like the Tenryubito as a whole is probably something that doesn't sit well with him. You know, like it's probably like another like version of like the dethroning of the Tenryubito, and he thinks that once the Tenryubito don't exist, his life will go back to being a hell like it once was. So that's why he like any like person of D that he encounters, he will despise and try to kill, because it's like self-preservation for him. Like,
Yeah, I
I'm a
think
go-getter.
I think the
it's
problem-
like right on the mark. I think it's like
I think the inherent problem with that theory is that like Doflamingo himself has said he knows he's not welcome back to the Tenryubito, so his life goal is to make their existence a problem. He wants to be a pest to them. He doesn't want to kill others who would want to be a pest to them too. So that doesn't really, to me, sit with why would he want to kill the D. If D was truly something that was they wanted to overthrow the Tenryubito, even though he was once one, he was cast out. He doesn't align with them much anymore.
I don't think
he wants.
It's like the political views that he shares with them. I think it's like the whole concept of him being dethroned
being
again.
superior. Yeah,
Yeah.
because this whole I mean, I totally see what you're saying, but in the not in these flashbacks, but in the actual arc, multiple times he's been talking about how he is better than everyone else because he's a Tenryubito.
Exactly.
And it's like the guy is in denial, essentially. I think he doesn't. It's a sort of contradiction in his own character. It's like the fact that
he hates them.
He hates them because he's
rejected.
It is, yeah.
but
It's a
he
contradiction.
But yeah, and I feel like learning even that the Tenryubito is like that they're not legitimized in being the best, of being an elite class and a higher citizenship than the people around him, would sort of like delegitimize his own belief that he is better than other people, which is something he still holds true to now. So I mean, I think that's kind of what it comes down to, is that it's like he hates them because he's rejected by them, but he's still in himself, he identifies himself as that. He takes pride.
So then he hates the enemies of Tenryubito, even though he hates the Tenryubito.
Yes, because he's rejected.
I see.
by
I don't
them.
buy that. So
I can see where
here's
you're
what I
coming
thought.
from, John. I can see, but I'm
It
gonna
makes
stick
sense to
by
me
my
though.
theory.
It makes. I mean, it's not. I think it makes sense though. I think I can totally understand why a character can be like that. The guy is a mess. Really, he is.
his life was.
I think
fucked up.
what I'm trying to get at is like what I thought about maybe the Will of D or the D name comes from. I think maybe he knows the true history of it. So the true history could be that the D clan or whatever was probably a group that was originally Tenryubito, and they defected from the Tenryubito because they like his father shared that belief system of like, we can't be cruel to people, like, because we came from another place, we're not entitled to anything. So I think they were initially defectors from Tenryubito, and in that lies Doflamingo's conflict with them. He hates his father for defecting. He probably hates the D name because that's what they stand for. It's like the idea of sort of freedom and equality for other people. So I think the Will of D might be originally Tenryubito who defected.
And the
What do you think about that?
Don Quixote family was one of the D families that defected.
Could have been, but maybe they were like holdouts or something. I don't know. But that was like centuries ago, so I don't
D
know.
stands for Don Quixote. Luffy Don
Yeah.
Quixote, Luffy.
Or maybe like
D-
all of like the Tenryubito families that had a D first letter of their names, or all of the D bloodline or whatever.
And it could be that many of the D people created or founded the Lost Kingdom, which was like a big, maybe rival to the Tenryubito's world government.
And then,
And of course, they would kill them
erase-
because of that.
and
But
erase
I
any
think
history.
Law's problem doesn't lie in that they were enemies of the Tenryubito. It's that they defected, much like his father.
You mean
That's
you
why
mean
he wants to kill
Doflamingo?
them. Didn't I say that?
You said Law again.
no, he's talking about
Doflamingo.
Lost. Oh,
You
yeah.
said, I think he meant.
No, I was talking
Doflamingo.
about Doflamingo.
Yeah.
So that's what I thought. So I think it could be true that they're from the Lost Kingdom, but I think it's possible that it's one step further and they were actually Tenryubito who defected, which is why all of the D have this inherent feeling of like freedom and sort of apprehension from power structures.
Yeah, it's not even like a
Although
matter of like
Marshall,
good or bad. It's like a matter of like I'm free to do what I want, which is
yeah,
Blackbeard
because
as well.
which is shown by Blackbeard. He wants to live his life how he wants to, even though he's kind of doing so at the expense of like other people's lives. He's like terrorizing the new world. So
Yeah, he's like the other end of the spectrum.
yeah,
Sure. Which is exactly why he needs to be the last villain of the series. Stands the reason that the D has to kill a D.
Yeah, the D have to battle it out for who's like got the bigger D.
yeah,
Who's the real D?
yeah. So I think that would be really cool to see that element of the story, like the vast history of this world. If the Tenryubito truly are like from another planet, the D could also have been. Anyway,
Speaking of another,
That was
planet,
what I
you
had
think
thought about.
Ito's coming back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there is
I don't
like
see
a
why he-
trend of this freaking manga where like old people come back.
I don't see why he hasn't. I mean, he could like strike himself down on the Earth.
As a
Although I guess lightning doesn't really go through space. Although I'm not a science man. So.
lightning
I
does
don't
not
know.
go through space
Science, man.
Okay.
because there's no oxygen to burn.
So he's stuck
Right.
in.
So he's just
He'll probably
he's
like
just
ride
stuck
a
there.
meteor back in.
He's
or
probably
something.
gonna ride that ship. He rode a ship up to the moon. He's probably gonna ride it back.
Well, if
Or
you
those
look at
little
like,
people.
if you look at the thing, like he's totally walking around on the moon without a helmet or oxygen source at all. So
Yeah. Maybe because he's a Logia.
yeah, because he's a Logia, he can do whatever he wants.
Yeah.
Fucking Logias. Who do they think they are?
They think they're higher class citizens. They think they're Tenryubito.
All right, so my prediction for next week is just going to be like the struggle between Corazon and Doflamingo, and like why it exists, and like why the name of D matters to them in that way. Because
I don't think we'll see that yet.
it's not something that just applies to Doflamingo. Like Corazon understands why Doflamingo hates D's, and it's even
Yeah.
like it's like a large enough deal where he'll like tell a single person that is of the D name, some kid that's gonna die in 3 years, you know, hey, like you need to get out of here. Like you are not safe. Like maybe not like maybe law it's not that law's not safe around Doflamingo, but maybe like the world's not safe because Doflamingo has law. Like I was saying, like maybe Doflamingo, especially like a young boy that he can nurture to whoever he wants to nurture to, like maybe like Doflamingo will turn this D until a real D, you know,
A D-bag.
a D bag.
I think Corazon is gonna steal the fruit and give it to Law, and then help him escape.
Yeah.
You know what?
Because
It probably has to do with that fruit too. It's probably like the D name combined with having that fruit. Like I wouldn't be surprised if they already have that fruit. Like that's like the one that Doflamingo
Or maybe
was
in
looking
the
for.
chapter we'll start with the fact that Doflamingo finally got it. Like he
Yeah.
had been in trades and in sort of bargaining about it, and he was aiming to get it, and he finally got it. And he's coming in, and he's like, "Yeah, like I got the fruit." And then Buffalo and Baby Five come in, and then they have the whole dialogue about where is Law, where is Corazon. Oh yeah, thing about him. He's like D water law or something, and he's like, he's got the fruit, and he's like, wow, I'm not gonna give it to that fucker. Like, he's gonna die.
Or maybe he's gonna like manipulate law with the fruits to do something for him.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe like manipulate.
Well, I mean, I think that was the purpose from the get-go, or I think that's probably why he was planning to do it in the first place. But judging by this interaction we've had in the most recent chapter, it seems to me like Doflamingo isn't gonna even, like, a person who's a D isn't even worth manipulating. Like, a person who's a D needs to die is like, it seems to be his sort of.
I can buy that.
Yeah.
Like, I want to believe more that it's like on a grander scale than Law's life. You know, like
it's an ideology world.
Yeah,
war,
but like,
really, yeah.
But maybe it is just like to Doflamingo, it is like, oh, this guy's a D, I'm gonna kill him right now. Mm-hmm. Maybe to him it's like that.
Yeah, I think that'll be the straw that breaks the camel's back. Like, Doflamingo will find out not only did Corazon steal it, but he gave it to
a D.
A D, yeah. It's like, wow, I thought you were my brother. And then
he'll yeah, you know, okay, so maybe Corazon will tell him to run, and he'll convince him in the next chapter to run. He comes back and tries to play dumb, you know, and then Doflamingo's like, where's that kid? And, like, you know, he's mute. He's supposed to pretend like he's mute. So he's like, you know, like, kind of like acting fucking stupid, like, oh, I don't know, you know. And then maybe somewhere down the line suggests, oh, no, I killed him. You know, I offed him on the side.
He was the one that stabbed me.
Yeah.
I killed him.
And then he maybe shows the wound, and he's like, yeah, he stabbed me, and so I killed him.
Well, he already knows about the wound.
Oh.
Because he asked him. He was like, hey, where'd you get that wound? And he wrote enemy on a paper and he showed him.
Okay, yeah, so, well, anyway, so maybe he pretends like, oh, yeah, I killed him. Then he steals the fruit and goes. You know? And then the whole sort of interaction happens there. And then, I don't know, somewhere down the line, Dofi finds out, and we have this whole sort of thing.
And voila, we're at where we're at.
It's great story.
Yeah,
man.
back into the future.
Back
or
to
present.
the present. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he'll probably wrap up this flashback maybe in a couple more chapters, and it's gonna be good. It's gonna be intense.
You know who's had like kind of for me underrated like character development? Freaking Doflamingo. Like we've been learning a lot about Doflamingo. Like the fact that he had that nightmare and he woke up sweating and like freaking out.
Yeah.
And he had to cover his eyes. He's oh shit, I can't see that shit.
Yeah, I remember even like a few podcasts ago, I was like, is there any way to make Doflamingo like redeemable? And I think like just the fact that we know he had this insane experience as a kid, like I you know, even though he's an asshole, like shit.
I'm not sure if it makes him.
I wouldn't wish that on anybody.
I'm not sure if it makes him redeemable, but I think it definitely makes him empathetic. I think
it could make him like in the future redeemable.
No, I feel
because like you know Oda likes to do that.
Yeah, I feel like having the experience, if anything, pushed him off the edge more, because he was like, as you said, a bad seed. Like so he was like this evil ass kid that like totally loved the Tenryubito life so much that when he was kicked out, he like misses it. The life of like telling people what to do, owning slaves, killing people for not.
And tries to bring that down to where he is. Yeah, right.
So like,
he's yelling at people, telling them, "Give me your pistol."
And those same people that he like despised and treated like trash are the ones that beat the shit out of him.
Yeah.
Caused his mother to die. Caused his Okay, is it like guaranteed that Doflamingo killed his father, or was it like the other mob that killed his father?
We're not sure yet.
Yeah.
I feel like he's lying, to be honest. I think he died of other circumstances.
Yeah, I feel like the other people killed him, like the father, and like Doflamingo's like, no, I killed him because I'm that badass. Like,
because you were talking. Okay, so on the subject, because we're talking about Doflamingo's redemption, right? That's what we're kind of talking about right now.
Oh, I mean, I was just saying, like, if there was a way, this is like the first step through the door to like get Doflamingo to that point. Yeah, if Oda chose to do so. I
think the best way he could be redeemed is if he finally just accepts himself for who he is and stops being an asshole as a consequence of that. You know what I mean? I mean, I think still down the line he's still going to be an asshole just because he's going to want to do whatever he wants to do, and he doesn't have as much compassion or consideration for other people. But I think if he were to have any sort of redemption, I think the fact that he woke up from a nightmare about this stuff kind of suggests that the guy, he obviously doesn't have it together. And I don't think he understands himself, really. We were just talking earlier about how you don't buy into him not wanting to help out a D because, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. essentially.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, yeah.
and I think it's totally believable that a person can have contradictory sort of desires, I guess. I think it happens in people all the time, really. Like the thing about Doflamingo is he's a hypocrite. You know what I mean? Like to the T, like with his sort of circumstance as a person who's rejected from what he knows himself to be, and how he's
But he
willing,
still like wears it on his shoulder, like I am a Tenryubito, like I'm better than you. So that makes him hypocritical.
yeah, and in the fact that he would place that sort of treatment on damn it, I had this together earlier, and it's kind of I'm kind of losing it, but something along the lines of about the way he treats the people who are D themselves too, and how that's kind of exactly a parallel to the way he's being treated, and it's sort of like innate hatred for them. Yeah, it's kind of like, like when you see just like the sort of stereotypical like sort of southern racist guy who's just kind of like racist for what he is, but then when you take a sort of bigger look at him, it's kind of like you understand that that person doesn't really understand themselves that much. You know what I mean? No,
Right,
no?
yeah.
It's like, yeah, I think that's kind of what
It's like ignorance, but it's not like really rooted strongly in something.
yeah, it's like they don't really understand themselves, and I think that's what Doflamingo is too. I think that's the whole thing about him having a nightmare about it all. It suggests, I think, on some level that like.
Well, I mean, it was a horrible experience that people would have nightmares about. That's also like a possibility, but
Yeah.
for storytelling's sake, it's like some
and
emotional
not just that, because
conflict.
he's such a strong character, or he seems like such a strong character.
Yeah.
It's such a badass who like has just seen the dirt of the dirt, and he's the kind of person who will brag about the fact that he's seen the dirt. I've seen it all. You can't fucking
does
show me a
brag
single thing that would shock me, because I'm that kind of guy. I've seen everything. And so the purpose of the story even showing that, I think suggests, or I mean the whole purpose of it actually is just to tell us that he doesn't have it together. The guy is like, he's scared, It's like
He's scared of going back to that life. That's why he's like built up his dominance of the underground. It's like he's basically the Tenryubito of like the underground, like of like the black market. Like,
Yeah, he's basically set himself up to where he never be like beaten in the streets again for being what he is.
Yeah.
Like that's probably his worst fear.
Yeah, I think,
The rejection from society.
I think his redemption would come from understanding what his father wanted. He doesn't necessarily have to agree to it to a T, but I think it would come from him accepting and acknowledging what his dad wanted, and that it wasn't completely just like this like retarded out of the line thing. Like he empathizes on and gets what his dad wants, because that's the sort of treatment that was meted against him, is the exact sort of same thing that his father was fighting against. And the thing is, the redemption would if there was one, would come from him accepting that.
Yeah.
so
And all I'm saying is we've taken like the first steps
to getting
possibly
there,
seeing
to
that,
maybe
yeah.
seeing there, to seeing that.
Whereas before it was like, man, this guy's just an asshole.
So what's the motivation for him going and doing that to the what island are they on again? What's it called?
Dressrosa?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what's the motivation of him overthrowing Dressrosa, causing chaos in the streets and murder of the royal family?
I think he saw an opportunity to
Create
like,
sad
to
SAD
set up a home
scene.
base in the new world. I don't know if it was anything like
'Cause
he had a
could've
personal
gone about
vendetta
doing
against
that
the kingdom.
in a way better way.
Well, what do you mean?
Like,
All right, so like the way he went and did that, like he didn't need to, because like
the way he controls them is through like complete like illusion anyway. So he didn't need to like totally like put the royal family on blast like that and manipulate the royal family into killing each other and like causing everyone to love him as like the savior of Dressrosa, like through that method. Like he already like manipulates them into thinking whatever he wants them to think as it is. He did that by like saying, "Oh, I'm stepping down as a what do you call those people?
Tenryubito?
No.
Shichibukai?
Shichibukai.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't true. He has the freaking little girl that turns everyone into toys. Sugar doing that, turning people into toys. Like, he can totally just, like, kill anyone that, like, says anything different, or, like, turn them into a toy so that everyone else forgets about them. So the reason that he went around and did it the way he did it, where, like, he caused chaos and have everyone murder each other, is because, like, he loves that shit. Like, and, like, I that's why I don't think he's a redeemable character. I think all
that's
that
why.
evil
That's
shit
why.
that happens, like, all just pushed him further over the edge of being, like, an evil ass dude that everyone should just bow down to and worship as the king, and he should just be able to do whatever he wants, and everyone else is trash. Like, I think, like, it just, like, further solidified him, like, being, like, unsavable. Because, like, he was savable as a little kid when he was saying, like, oh, everyone's a slave, like, I kill this guy for not bowing in front of me. Because he's a kid. You could teach a kid to do anything. You know, like, you could teach an evil kid to be a good kid, but, like, when the kid goes through something like that, that's rooted into them for, like, a long ass time. So, like,
I think
I think the road to his possible redemption is quite long, and you're right. He's done
practically impossible.
so many horrible things in his life that it's like he seems so unsavable.
So have a lot of other characters, though. I mean, you can argue that Crocodile's done some pretty heinous things, but
he's done. Yeah, he has.
But
I mean,
in the war arc, he comes back and he helps out Luffy and kind of sort of expresses some sort of sense of, like, morality. Like, listen, if you want to protect something, you better goddamn protect it, you know, and throws Luffy, or I think Luffy and Jinbei up through a sandstorm or something and protects them from Okaine, right?
I think that was more of his, like, moral battle against the Marines than his care for Luffy, I think. Like, because that was, like, a huge Pirates versus Marines moment. Like,
I mean, there are a lot of pirates that didn't care, you know. They weren't there to fight for the sake of the pirates against the Marines, though.
Well, he was there, though.
I know,
so,
but I'm
like,
saying there were a
might
lot
as
of pirates that weren't, though. So, I mean, it's...
Maybe they didn't want to go out of their way to do it.
Right, so, but he
was there
kind of
anyway.
there because he had to be there,
Yeah.
because he wanted to escape. But but what I'm saying is he didn't have to involve himself in that moment, though. He really puts himself actually in danger because he has to face fucking Akainu there in that moment. And I don't think he thinks that he can beat Akainu, but he does, because why does he do it?
So then, Alex, are you saying that, like how I had asked that a few, like, episodes ago, that every character is savable, like, not just to us, but, like, to Luffy? Because Luffy, at the time, the reason I asked was because, like, Bellamy became all of a sudden this, like, sympathetic character. So now are you thinking that possibly every character is savable, like, not just to us, but to Luffy?
Did I say that he wasn't? Or did I say that to Luffy?
I think I was alone in thinking that possibly everyone was. Actually, I didn't say whether or not I was, but we agreed that, yeah, Doflamingo probably wasn't. He was just
Probably.
I remember you
completely
bringing it
an
up.
asshole.
I remember you bringing it up. I don't remember what I said.
Yeah, I feel like Luffy would forgive anyone, to be honest. But like,
right?
When we were talking about this, I think that's what I said, because I think I alluded to how he's kind of like Goku, where Frieza would just do heinous acts upon heinous acts upon heinous acts, and to the very end, Goku would just be like, okay, listen, I'm gonna let you live, just please get out of my face, you know. He's just like he's not gonna be a sort of like an avenger and take someone's life.
Right,
and I think I made the argument that that's kind of what Luffy was like. But
Right.
I don't really remember. But
anyway,
yeah,
it's been we've been talking for a while now.
yeah.
So let's probably wrap it up.
All right, I think that was our most successful discussion that we've had so far.
And this chapter definitely merited that.
This was a huge chapter, even by, like, One Piece standards.
Yeah.
This was a huge chapter. So,
you know, like, Oda was probably just like, oh shit.
Yeah.
when he wrote it, he was like, oh man, they're gonna.
when he was, like, finally done, like,
He's like, man, I outdid myself.
I'm gonna fuck 2 bitches tonight.
Yeah.
Do you think, like, he's like totally getting laid, and he's like, hey, that's a good idea, and he, like, writes it down real quick, and he's like, all right, back to
his wife is probably very used to it. I'm sure he's just constantly at it all the time, you know.
He probably asks her, what do you think about this? Like, do you think her titties are drawn well enough? Like,
Yeah.
He asks his baby. And he's like, ah! He's like, that's great, that's fantastic. And
He has, like-
records it.
He has 5 drawings of Corazon, and whichever one the baby likes the most is
Yeah,
the one
what's
he
last?
chooses.
The one that he throws up on. Oh, that's the winner.
The octopus in the tank.
Yeah, I'm actually really interested in what his creative process is like, you know, and how he works with people. That's kind of something I'm really interested in. I'd love to see how he works with like some of his drawers and his editors, really, the people who tell him things about his story, you know.
And like,
Probably really well.
I wonder as an editor what you like, how you approach him.
Yeah, how would you approach him? You know, there's
Like,
so
would you
many
tell him,
outlandish
I don't know
things
about
that,
this
like,
part. But
yeah.
like to him, that's like the best part of that chapter, and you're telling him you don't know about that part. Like, I don't know. Like,
John,
what
you
can
think
we
he
do?
works really well with people?
Probably, yeah.
Or do you think? He's
But
like
I mean,
a-
think everyone knows at the end of the day, like, he's you know, he's God. So
Yeah. So you can't. There's only so much you can sort of. You might be making a big mistake by refuting anything. He
Yeah,
does.
your job security is not very secure.
it's basically like if you work for him and you think you have a good idea, like you better have a tough skin because he'll probably shoot it down if you. But if you have a good one, like he'll take it and run with it. So just don't feel bad if he rejects you or something. But he probably is like a nice dude, I would imagine.
He's probably
'Cause
just
he's
lucky.
He probably has a huge team working for him, and like you have to enjoy it if you're gonna do this on a weekly basis.
Yeah.
So.
He's probably just like Luffy in real life. He probably eats a lot of
Probably
food.
has some Luffy / Goku in him. Yeah. What like Japanese kid doesn't though?
Alex
Boy,
doesn't have
anyway.
it in it.
A lot of sociopathic ones that do some pretty crazy things over there.
Yeah. The weird ones have it. All right. Yeah, I think just prediction for next week. We'll just find out more about this flashback.
Can't wait.
Dude,
There's
I
no,
really
there's no
can't.
break,
though.
right?
Is it?
No, thank
No
God,
break,
no.
yeah.
Okay. Okay. Cool. Fuck.
Yeah.
Don't scare me like that, man. Yeah. I think that wraps it up for this week's long ass fucking podcast we had. Well merited though. Like Bleach deserved it. One Piece definitely deserved it.
And Naruto deserved it on the fact that it's almost ending.
Yeah, and
That's
it's
it,
ending. We had to get that out of the way.
Yeah.
I only shed a single tear, guys.
Just one.
All right, guys. Thanks for listening in. We are always happy to have this discussion here for you, and I'm sure you guys are always happy to listen to it. Sometimes it gets a little stale. Whatever. We'll be here next week. Of course, we will. Are all the chapters updating next week?
Yeah.
Has there been like
I think
anything
so.
announced? Like no
Yeah,
special
I
week
think
in
I think
Japan?
they're all going to be there.
All right, for sure. I'm super excited for Bleach and One Piece. Super excited for Naruto because it's about to end, and I'm trying to see which direction they go in. I'm pretty sure the fight is over, and they're just gonna talk for the rest of it.
I think we'll know in like 2 chapters. In 2 chapters, we'll be like, oh, crazy.
Yeah, it's-
we're really going to
yeah.
just be talking all the way through.
Oh man! All right, guys, thanks for listening. Special thanks to John.
Word.
We out of here. Yeah.
So, later, guys.